Give me 1 sec. Okay. I had that tracking me so that I could get it like the way that I am right now. Okay. Give me 1 sec. I just want to open it on YouTube on my phone so I could see if anybody talks over there. I'm so bad at sharing the YouTube live stream. Not that it's much different than sharing the Twitch one, but I don't know why. I'm like so slow when it comes to doing the YouTube stream. Hey Mister, what's up? How you doing? Hey Jay, sorry you got ads. I don't know how long ago that was, but maybe you're out of them by now, maybe you're not. I am sorry about the ads. Okay, give me 1 more sec. Should I try sharing this to social media too? Ay, ay, ay. Plug in my phone real quick. Just do that so it doesn't die. Okay. Yeah, I got Aerith on my shirt today just for you, Mistral. Most of my t-shirts only have Tifa, but I got this funny the Coinbox tees guys that make all the art for me. Uh because Aerith hit somebody with a steel chair in remake. He made this one where she blocks Sephiroth's attack with a steel chair. Back from Ad Hell, welcome back. How are you tonight, Jay? I think I'm gonna try sharing it on Facebook and Twitter, I guess. Yeah, how could I do this? I got there's a little Tifa and Cloud in the bottom corner, like, what is happening? All right, let me shout out to Coinbox Thieves who designed the shirt. Yeah, let me try sharing it on Facebook and Twitter. Let's see what happens. I feel like the first week we did this, I shared it on Facebook and Twitter, and no results whatsoever. It did not change a thing, I don't think. But yeah, let's try it. Screw it. What's the worst that could happen? People ignore it like all my other posts. What's the worst that could happen? Okay, let me share. I'll do a separate post. Sorry, I'm just gonna post it everywhere, and then we'll get to the good stuff. Tonight's stream we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna talk a little bit about fantasy distractions, not so much tonight. Then we're gonna read my prequel to my main book series, The Soldier's Crest. It's about the same length as the Mira story, so it's around like 100 pages. So we're gonna be doing that tonight, and yeah, see how that goes. Yeah, I love them too. All good. Promote it. Yeah, I'm gonna try. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna post it on the fantasy. I have a fantasy distractions Facebook page. I'll post it on there. I'll post it on Twitter. Posted it on my main page. Oops. I don't get why Facebook hashtags are so weird. Like I just want to hashtag live, but it's like not letting me. Let's try that. That's it. I own that book. It's even signed by the author, my man. I actually, I have them because I dug them out to send one to Mistral. I actually have copies on hand, live, and in color. This one isn't signed. This is just a random one, I think. If we ever become successful, maybe I'll do like live signings like the voice actors do with their prints. Okay. I actually get a lot of like traffic on LinkedIn too. I'm gonna post it on LinkedIn. Screw it. I don't know why my posts on LinkedIn have been getting like a lot of traction. It's super random, but sorry, just bear with me for 1 second, then we'll get into the reading. We'll try it. We'll see what happens, you know? I've been enjoying doing these streams, so it would be cool if we got some more people in here. That is a newer version, yes. That would be cool. You never know. Maybe one day. You have the OG. I have that here too. Because LinkedIn push notifications to people who might be interested regardless of association. Yeah, they're pushing it a lot. You should have this one. This is my self-published one. You probably have this one, Fadari. Also, how you been, man? I haven't seen you in here in a hot minute. I hope you're good. But yeah, this is probably the one you have, the self-published one. Do I have anything in here? I do not. Yeah, you have the OG. And then I also have this one, which I found this and it depressed me because This I bought like 100 copies of this. This is the prequel we're about to read tonight. The design of this book is so cool. I've been lurking, busy but lurking. I appreciate the lurks, man. You never know, maybe one day, right? The best advice I heard when you were signing a bunch of books is to not move your wrist so much. That's good to know. Hopefully I get to that point. I thought the design of this book was cool, right? Like, it has the cover again. It has a map. It has a map that I made in there. What's up, kitty? Like the first page of every chapter has this cool like color to it. The edges have these little, you probably can't see them. They have like little like dots. The design of this book is so cool, but like what happened with this book is the original, as far as I know, I guess we'll find out tonight when we're reading it in my Google Docs version. The original had like no typos, like 0. And whatever edits they did to this book, like not only did it like it basically put errors in the book that weren't there, typos, but to the point where it would like restructure sentences. I don't know, dude. The publisher really botched this one. I have like 100 of these, but they have so many typos in them. I don't want to like give them to people. But the design is cool, so it's like depressing. Been dropping in since before you started playing FF7. All right, cool. We're gonna be doing a lot of FF7 Rebirth when that drops too. So, I mean, I don't like. It's not FF7 that brought you here, but you mentioned FF7, so I'm just mentioning it. You know. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm trying to see if I have copies of the one that doesn't have the typos, and if I can find those, I would love to send them to you guys. Whoever wants it. You ready for it? I mean, I'm as ready as I can be, I guess. I mean, I'm super hyped for it. I bought the like $300 collector's edition with the Sephiroth statue. I'm not ready for days with no sleep. Dibs? Yeah, I'll send you one, Fedar. You, Mistral, and Kitty for sure, if you guys want them. But I gotta find them. I'm pretty sure I have more. There's a different version with a different cover. I'm pretty sure I have some of those still. What else? Let me post it on Twitter. I like never use Twitter, dude. I don't use it nearly as much as I should. Might have to lower the heat. I'm like sweating. Alright. I shared it everywhere. Whatever happens, happens. Whatever happens, happens. I did my part. I'm down to buy a copy of each variant. This one, I have like a million, dude. This fat one. I have so many of these. I bought these, and it was during when we were doing conventions. I was going around with Coinbox Tees, and we were doing conventions. So I bought like an obnoxious amount of this from my publisher to sell at the conventions. So this one I have a lot. I have a lot of these. The other one I gotta see. Let me see if I have my copy. I can show you what the other cover of the prequel looks like. The one that I'm trying to find to see if I have more of for you guys. Let me see if I still have. I love big books. Yeah, this is a fatty. Look at this. The fatty book right here. The self-published one is just tall. He's kind of skinny, but the published one, he's a fatty. All right, let me Yeah, Kitty, you probably have the self-published one. You probably have this one because you bought it from my Etsy. I don't think the other one's on my Etsy. You have this one, Kitty. This is the self-published one. You just need the oops version and the chunk. You guys want to buy the one with the typos? Why do you guys want the one with the typos? Let me show you the other one. Hold on. Let me see if I still have it. I have like my copy. Oh no, I think I buried it. I might have buried it in a tote that I can't get to right now. Shoot. I should have took it out to show you guys. I actually thought I did. Oh, hold on. Let me check. Give me 1 sec. Because you're gonna get famous, and then we'll have a 1 of 100, and we will profit off of your success. It has typos though. I buried the other one, but I'm pretty sure I have copies somewhere. I gotta find the copies. Once I find the copies, we can send those out. What's the other thing? I have 1,000,000 Leica and Mira t-shirts. I don't know if you guys have any interest in t-shirts. I could show you what that looks like. That one's somewhat handy. I've worn it on stream before. Hold on. Actually, it'll get red just like the others, but it's still a nice thought. Let me, I can show you the t-shirt. Hold on. Also made by Coinbox Tees, by the way. I should have left the mic on so you guys can hear me shuffling and scrummaging around. But hey Lepo, what's up? How's it going? Good morning. I probably have like 1,000,000,000 of these. The boobage on Mira is the only reason why I don't push this shirt as much, but I feel like Twitch chat wouldn't care as much. But yeah, I have a Leica and a Mira t-shirt. Soldier's Crest T. I used to have a bunch of the logo. I just like hang this behind me. I used to have a bunch of the logo. This logo on the bottom with the oh, this one doesn't have the angel on it. So there's a version of this logo with like 2 angels on the edge. I used to have shirts with just that on it. You can't actually see their faces, but yeah, that's what happens when the main artist at Coinbox Tees that does all the art for me, that's the type of stuff he draws. So I should have told him to tone it down. That was my bad. I regret not doing that because it's hard to sell them now. But yeah, and now I have 1,000,000 of them. I should probably get more made. I'm gonna go turn off the heat. I'm like stepping away a lot. I sent out all those notifications on Facebook and LinkedIn, and I have not been here. Let me turn off the heat because I'm already sweating, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. the nitty gritty. All right. Okay. Thank you guys for coming through though. We got like a lot of people. I know, I'm writing so hard I'm sweating. We didn't even start reading or anything yet. I actually do have prints. Like a lot of the art that you're gonna be seeing on Fantasy Distractions for these Soldier's Crest characters, I have those all printed out as prints too. Like a lot of the art I was showing off last week of like Valak and Meryl and those characters, I have prints of them too. All right, let's talk about Fantasy Distractions first, right? The stuff we did this week, which was the Eliana short story re-release with the word scroll version that came out on Monday, yesterday. That came out yesterday. Let me share my screen here. Let me do the overlay so I can see what you guys are saying. Okay, yeah, so the Eliana story came out on yesterday, re-release with Janine's reading, which is awesome. Friday was the Meryl story, which we're gonna get more into, kind of like the backstory of Meryl's stuff, like the stuff with Wyglaff and Meryl is gonna bleed over into what we're gonna be reading tonight. I'm gonna do my best to stay up tonight, even if I have to get some caffeine. All right, no problem. Yeah, I don't know how long we're gonna go tonight. I guess it depends on my voice. But at least the rest of the stream will be up on YouTube, like immediately after it ends. So even if you don't get to watch all of it, you could always catch the rest tomorrow at some point. I'm sorry for streaming so late. I was actually toying around with the idea of doing early streams again, trying that out again, but I don't know if I'll be able to. The reason I stream this late is because I can't really stream during the day, obviously. So I would like to attempt some daytime streams again, but I don't know if you guys would want that. Maybe once 7 Rebirth comes out, I might just be streaming like 24/7 whenever I'm playing that game, because I don't know if I could wait till the night. And I want to make sure I stream all of it because we streamed all of Remake. So maybe during that we'll do some like earlier streams, but yeah, my stream time is not convenient for like anybody, it feels. Okay, so yeah, we released the Meryl story on Friday, the Eliana story yesterday. They're not getting a lot of views. I'm trying to mimic the success of the Nouvelle story. For some reason, the Nouvelle story did really well. I don't know if it's like the thumbnail. I know Mistral liked the background of this one. Maybe the background is a little more appealing. Maybe I had different tags that worked better. I'm trying to mimic the success of Nouvelle because that one of the stories we've released since 2024 started, which started with the word scroll version of Natalie. That one has performed the best. These live readings I didn't really like promote or anything. But you could see the difference in when people comment and when they don't. Because I think Mistral commented something about like catching the rest of this the next day or something like that, and it got 12 views. Literally the same exact tags, the same. I posted these the same day. I posted them like an hour apart. But Mistral commented on this one, and nobody commented on this one. And this one got 3 views, and this one got 12. So like the power of comments is insane on YouTube. But you like that it was mysterious? Yeah, I have so much more story to tell on that continent. That we can definitely do a lot more like mysterious stuff with that. That whole continent is a mystery. I have some anything that says Isla. These like these were ones before you started watching me. If you wanted to go back and get more of that like mysterious type of storyline that we're telling in Isla, anything that says Isla, like these 3 right here, 1, 2, 3. Isla number 3, number 2, number 1. These are actually technically the continuation of that. Jewel is technically number 4. Like if I showed you it in Google Docs, the fact that Fantasy Distractions is still in my other section is a problem. But if I showed it to you, I think it's here. Nope. Here? Yeah, like Jewel and Nouvelle are actually labeled Isla number 4 and number 5 in Google Docs. I just decided to drop the whole number thing with the new stuff that we're posting, so it's actually the continuation of those other Isla ones, just it's not labeled that way. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it pushed it out, the algorithm. Yeah, so like I think just because like when you guys comment, it really does make a difference, but like I don't know what happened. Wyglyph got 30 views. I don't know what's different about Wyglyph. Only 2 comments on this one. Who knows, man? I can't figure this out. I honestly can't figure it out. You need one of those fireside reading chairs? I do. Those are kind of they're not exactly the same. The fireside ones are like the fireside ones are more like rocking chair look to them, like wooden. But I mean, the one I just draped, you can't see it from here. What the heck? Am I crazy? Hello? Yeah, these chairs that I have over here. Let me track without pulling my computer off. My gaming chair is blocking the other one. Unlucky. But like these are kind of cozy, no? Like these can pass. They can pass for it. Not the same, but it's close. I have 2 of those right next to each other over there. Get that to stop. But yeah, we're I'm just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and so far everything I've tried feels like it doesn't work. I have no idea what that was upstairs. I know my niece is running around. I pictured those high luxury red sofa chairs, a fireplace, and a footrest. Maybe if the stream or the YouTube blows up and I can afford to do that, unless we just green screen it. I do have a green screen. This black bag on that tote right there is my green screen that I used to have set up in the old house. So we could just like get the chair and then green screen the rest. Bonus is a corgi sleeping on the rug. I don't know about that one. Do you just post them as is, or do you actually create playlists for each sub-story? I create playlists. Actually, I don't know if I put those 2 in the playlist. I do make playlists for everything. Let me just swap to this for a second. I don't know what I'm possibly hiding on my YouTube studio. I mean, literally nothing happening. You guys could see that I've actually got... Oh, we actually gained a subscriber while I was live, maybe? If... What is playing? What was that noise? What was that noise? Did you guys hear that? It was like a guitar strum. Gotta have the chair, then get the big ultra fluffy red Hefner robe. Nice. I mean, we could do that. I'd be down. I think I actually gained a subscriber since we went live. This is crazy. If you subscribed, thank you. Whoever that was, thank you. I was just about to complain about how since I started posting more consistently again to start 2024, we've actually lost 4 subscribers. We're at a net negative. I don't know what that tune was. I have no idea what played that. All right, content. Let me see if I did add those to the playlist. I feel like I did. I'm usually pretty on top of that. Oh, I just put it in the Fantasy Distractions 2024 playlist. I do have a bunch of playlists though. So it is in a playlist, not necessarily the Isla playlist though. See, you got to be positive. I'm trying. Like I'm like working my butt off, guys. Like I mean, the short stories we're releasing now were part of I was planning to do 365 days of short stories like a year ago, and I wrote 85 of them in like a month. Like I think it was like a month and a half. I wrote 85 short stories. That's the stuff we're using now that we're releasing. I wrote all of these in the span of like a month and a half. So like I'm trying my best. I'm literally working my butt off since we started doing this. Like the only setbacks we had was when we tried to change our style up, and that really set me back because I was waiting on other people to send me like recordings and stuff, and it was just too much work for everyone. Like I don't mind the work, but like I was putting way too much pressure on our VAs and stuff, so it backfired horribly. But like if you include the first year of Fantasy Distractions, like I released 75 short stories in a 50-week span the first year that we did it. And then the 2 years after that we kind of fell off. And then I've started this year with 2 short stories a week every week so far. And I have stuff planned all the way till May. So it's like I'm trying. It's the promotion that's killing me. Like I'm not getting it in front of the right people, I guess. But it looks like your playlists are not story based. They're not specifically because like the Isla that Isla like mini series, and we also try to do like a Dry Trek Arena one and a Galaxy Federation one that'll be releasing some more pieces closer to the May side of things. Outside of that, like the stories are meant to stand alone for the most part. So like I can't really make playlists for every set of stories. Like it would just be like playlists with like 2 stories in it, like because like the Eliana one has another Eliana one and a short, so like that would be 3 things in that playlist. Like should I be doing that? I don't know. You got this, Jay. I appreciate it, Fodari. The more you get word out, eventually it'll build. I'm hoping so. I mean, I've been promoting it like nonstop for the last 3 years, and I'm losing subscribers when I'm more consistent, so I have no idea. It's brutal. But yeah, that's why like I bunch them together. So like now I'm doing like a Fantasy Distractions 2024 playlist for the ones we're releasing now. Just so like everybody knows these are the like more recent ones. But before that, yeah, like I had like an Isla playlist, and like I never did like a Sabia playlist, even though there's a couple of stories in Sabia, but it would just be like more confusing, I feel. Fodari, I'm open to any suggestions, man. Feel free to like rip it apart and tell me what I need to be doing, because as of this moment it's not working. But I'm trying my hardest. I promise. I used to run ads. Like if you look at let me switch back to, if you look at our early ones, right? Like the not Eliana, Natalie, right? Like from Natalie, actually, I think I ran at least 1 ad on every story for the first 50. I just didn't run them on the shorts. So I used to run ads, but like I would get subscribers and like these like random comments, but like they were clearly bots, and like that's not the type of people I want to bring to the channel. I want like natural and organic growth. So that's why I haven't been running them anymore, because it felt very like weird. You got faith? I need the support system from you guys, because like when I found this book the other day that I was telling you guys about, the prequel with the typos in it, I was so depressed. I was beating myself up like all day. Like I got so close to being a public. I mean, I was a published author, and now it's gone, dude. I achieved my dream, and it was taken away from me. I need a redemption story. I need some wins here. -4 subscribers since starting in 2024. Not good. All right. All right. I'm just gonna end up ranting if we keep going with that. We got you. Don't be sad. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Then before I went live, I did like the worst possible thing. There's a story on the YouTube. I made a video like right when I lost the publisher, because there was a bunch of other people that were part of this publisher that yeah, it's this video right here. There were other people that were part of the publisher that were messaging me like, what happened? What like why did they just stop existing? Like, are our books ever gonna come out? What's going on? So I made a post explaining the whole story, and I was like watching it before I started stream and getting all sad. It can happen. Make the comeback. We gotta try. We get this is our redemption story. Maybe it starts right here, right now. Who knows? You know what does make me sad though? The fact you're using Edge. I know, dude. I know. I know. Um, yo, you can make like a little bit of money using Edge. Every time you search, you get like money back. You know? Scan some receipts. I'm already up to like $7. I've only been using Microsoft Edge for like a year and a half. Made $7. Crazy. It is a terrible browser though. Unless Microsoft Edge wants to sponsor me or something, then I'm still using it. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. I think I'm just going to start every single one of these live streams, especially if it's like a live stream where we're not actually reading anything fantasy distractions related. Although we have been posting some adjacent A Soldier's Crest stuff lately. I'm just going to start every stream complaining about views and stuff. Oops. And just like ranting and crying. We did gain a subscriber since I went live. That's crazy. Feels good, man. All right, so we're gonna read this this book, The Dragon Knight Chronicles. So I released my first book, A Soldier's Crest, and then when I got picked up by the publisher, I had decided that I wanted to work on a prequel that I could release as an ebook. While I waited for them to release A Soldier's Crest, because I joined this publisher and my book was basically done. Like I had already self-published it at that point. And they told me it wasn't going to come, like, let's say I joined them. I think I joined them like right at the beginning of January. I guess it was like it's got to be like 2017 or 2018 or something like that now. And my book was basically like done. Like they didn't need to do anything. Like it was already professionally edited. It was ready to go. Like literally all they had to do was make a new cover and print them. But for some reason, and I mean I get it, like maybe they just wanted their editors to look at it because it wasn't their editors that worked on it. They told me it wasn't going to come out till like November. So I was like, why? But you know what? I wasn't going to question the process. I was published. I was telling people I was a published author. You know, whatever. I was riding high at the time. So I was like, hey, could I just like work on a prequel or something that we could release as an ebook in the meantime, just so I could have something out? You know, you guys don't really have to do any work. I'll write it. If you want to edit it, cool, whatever. And we'll just release it as an ebook. Um, was there a specific reason you chose that publisher? They actually reached out to me. And at first I thought it was gonna be also I had a friend who got picked up by them, so I think he suggested me to them. Um I thought it was gonna be like one of those, they call them like vanity publishers where you like pay for them to publish your book. And I was like, nah, I ain't doing that. I don't wanna spend money to do this. Like I know that's shady, that's usually a red flag, whatever. But there was no payment involved. It was literally like they were starting a new publishing company. They were gonna publish my book. I didn't have to spend a dime, and that was gonna be it. So I was like, I'm not gonna say no to that. So, I took a chance. I took a chance on it. Obviously, it backfired horribly, but still, it could have not backfired horribly, and I would look like a genius right now. But not usually how my luck goes, so here we are. But I suggested this ebook idea. It was like, can I write this ebook before my book comes out, whatever. So I started working on it. I was like slowly working on it. Then I started like, because I was motivated by the fact that I was published now. I started like, I cranked it out in like a month and a half or something, maybe even like maybe 2 months tops. So I filled it out. I wrote it, whatever. I sent it to the girl that was running the publishing company, and I'm like, here's the prequel ebook, whatever. Let's put it up as an ebook. So she starts like reading through it, and she's like, this is really good. And she's like, it's like 100 pages. Do you want to just turn it into a book, like a physical book? And I was like, well, I ain't going to say no to that, We're just building your origin story. You're right. You're right. I wasn't going to say no to another physical copy of anything, So I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we turned it into, not this one. There was a different cover. There was a different cover than this, but we turned it into a physical book. And they released this, which actually did need to be edited and stuff. I mean, I'm pretty good at edits, so it probably didn't need that much work. But this that actually did need to be edited actually came out before my book, so it was good because it was a prequel. But we released this like 3 months, I think, before my book went live. So I technically now had 2 books out within the year. And yeah, so it ended up being a physical book, but it never was really supposed to be. It was supposed to be along the lines of the Mira side story because they're about the same length. And I was writing the Mira one as I was writing this one as well. So they're about the same length. And it ended up being a physical copy, which was cool. And that's basically the origin of this. So the first book, completely written. I had already started working on the second book a little bit, and then I stopped working on the second book to work on this. So I already know everything that's going to happen in the first book when I'm writing the prequel. So that helped, obviously. But it also let me flesh out a lot of these characters a bit more, which was cool. So yeah, we're gonna read this. Anything else I got to talk about I mean, Fantasy Distractions. I'm uploading them like ahead of time. I'm uploaded all the way up to February 16th. This weekend I gotta really get cracking on that though, because I need everything that I want scheduled that's gonna come out throughout May, from now until May. I need that all scheduled by the end of February when Rebirth comes out. That's the plan. So I need to really get cracking this month because I'm scheduled up to February 16th, but I need to be scheduled up to May 19th, which is actually my birthday. So by my birthday, Fantasy Distractions, who knows? We're either going to continue, maybe take a break for a while, but I'm planning to get to at least my birthday with uploads. But I need them scheduled before Rebirth comes out because then they're not happening. Completely random though, since your book actually lives on my nightstand. What do you want to tell me, Fnar? All right. Yeah, it's about 13-ish more pages than the Mirror Side story. So I would like to maybe shoot for like page 50 if my voice makes it. The dragon watermark you have next to the page numbers, it would be really awesome if it transitioned from a human to a dragon or a dragon to a human over the course of the book. I mean, that sounds like a great idea. When I self-published, yeah, you're talking about hold on, let me go back to full screen. I know what you're talking about. But just so chat has reference because you're like one of the few people on Earth that own the thing. You're talking about this thing up here, right? This dragon? This guy? I mean, we could. I mean, I'm down if like I get another publisher and they're down. I don't know if that's something like I could do myself. Yeah, I mean, we could try. That would be pretty cool, I guess. I mean, you'll find out. I have a story coming out about how the dragons came to be, like exist, because it's a post-apocalyptic story, right? So like it technically starts in our time, but it's the future, and then it turns into post-apocalyptic, like it reverts back into medieval times, fantasy style. So I had to come up with a way that there would be dragons in a future post-apocalyptic version of our world. So it would actually make more sense if they were like lizards and then they become dragons. I sometimes highlight my books, but I'm going to try to keep it pristine. I appreciate that, Mishra. I mean, you can highlight in it if you want. I have more copies. I have 1,000,000 copies, and I also have, if it ever takes off, you know, I'm a very loyal person. So if this is the start of it taking off, these live streams, trust me, I will hook you up with some swag. 200 years in the future, Godzilla. Yeah, I think it's about 200. No, it's way more than that. I don't even remember now. It should be on the back of the book. It's been a while since I played. 2,256 is the year. I think it's cool sometimes because you see what resonates with a particular reader. Yeah, I mean, I need to read more in general myself and probably highlight books myself. But I'm just like nonstop writing. So I haven't really been reading as much as I should. Fantasy distractions kind of keeps me busy like 24/7. It feels like when I'm like really in the thick of it. But yeah, let's read this thing. Speaking of reading, let's read the A Soldier's Crest prologue. Not prologue, prequel. It starts with a prologue. It's good you're a consistent writer. Yeah, like I like reading. I game too much is my problem. When I have free time, I'm just gaming or writing my own stuff. But I should probably bring back your Etsy or make an actual JA Distractions webpage. I don't have a command for the Etsy. The Etsy should still be here somewhere. Oh, maybe I removed it actually. I thought I still had the icon for it. I'll have to bring it back. I could have sworn I left it there. I'm still like paying for it. I do need to make a web page though. I was talking to Tameless and Champ about it. I definitely need to make a website. Definitely need to make a website. He's been trying to read for the last hour. Well, we did a little fantasy distraction recap first. We recapped a little bit. Okay. No, you pulled the link like a year and a half ago? Fodari, what the heck? How do you know that and I forgot? It still exists. You can still find it. But maybe I should bring it back. Alright, I don't think we ever had a command for it though. That I don't remember. But you would know better than I do, apparently. Alright, let's do this thing. What the heck? My follow age thing doesn't even work? Oh wait, it did work. 4 years, 3 months, 2 days, and 20 hours. It's crazy that it's been that long. That means I know Maddie maybe a few months longer than that. But see, with Maddie likes to unfollow me as a joke. So if Maddie came in here right now and did follow age, hers would say like way less than that. But she's actually been following me a little longer. Should have streamed 12 hours ago. Yeah, that's the only way she'll watch because I stream way too late. And now she's got a kid. So the only time she pops in is when the kid wakes her up. All right, let's do this. The prologue. She's not following. Did you spell her name wrong? Did she change her name? Or did she unfollow me? I'm tilted. I'm about to send her an angry DM. I think she might have changed her name, no? That's definitely how she spells it, as far as I remember. But apparently I don't even remember my own commands. Alright, here we go. Now who's distracting me, Fodar? It's okay. I appreciate you guys chatting. Alright, prologue. Let's go, Dawn, Faris yelled. Yeah, alright, good start. Let's go, Dawn. Faris held Dawn by the hand as they scurried through the Davish forest. It was easily the most dangerous area for children to play in, but Dawn and Faris spent most of their afternoons exploring it. Vines and branches danced in the wind generated by their running. Mom is gonna kill us, yelled Dawn, hoping that Faris would hear her over all the noise they were making. She used her free hand to hold a flower that she plucked from the forest and placed in her dark black hair. Faris was much faster than Dawn, but Dawn was much more agile. Faris bolted through the forest with Dawn calling out each branch to dodge along the way. When the two children emerged from the forest, they were on the other side of the town of Davish. The field they ran on was a sea of tall green grass that the sun, now piercing the morning sky, reflected its honey-like rays upon. In the... Oh, she's got an underscore. Okay. Did she add the underscore? Glorious feels so much longer when I'm waiting for it to end to keep reading. Also, if it ever gets to the point where I can monetize the streams on YouTube, I need to remove that because I get copyright striked when Glorious plays on my streams on YouTube. They just like mute it on Twitch, but they actually like copy. It's not like the copyright strike where I get in trouble. It's like the copyright strike where I just can't monetize the video. And they copyright strike me because WWE doesn't play, man. WWE doesn't play around with their music. So you get DMCA'd like dumb fast. She changed it to the salty PhD when she was applying for her postdoctoral, then had to change it back. Ah, I see, okay. And then they probably didn't let her change it back to one word. So that's probably why she threw in the underscore. Okay. She just wanted to be more like me. I get it. It's fine. She saw Val underscore Starlight and she was like, you know what? I have to be the underscore salty cookie. I get it. Makes sense. 3 years, 6. That's actually not as bad as I thought. 3 years, 6 months, and 6 days. I feel like it used to be lower because she kept jokingly unfollowing me and following me back. So like it's probably like 4 years, 6 months, 6 days for her. If it's 4 years for you. So I think it's pretty close, but it's just slightly off. All right. In the distance, there were farms that appeared as specks on the landscape to them, and in the middle of the plains was a large mansion, its hickory wood walls made even lighter in the brightness of the day. Yeah, Kitty technically has more follow age than Maddie, who Maddie definitely started watching me before Kitty. Yeah, she used to like host me all the time whenever well, not host me, she would just send you guys to follow me when I was in her chat. I'm trying to remember how I found her though. No, I think I know what it was. I think maybe was it when I was doing remake? Remake's about 4 years old now, right? It came out in 2020. So maybe I was doing day streams for remake and she just hosted me. I don't know. I don't remember how we linked up, but one of us hosted the other, but it had to be at a time when she was live or I was live, and I'm never live when she's awake. so, so I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out. We need Maddie here to help clarify because apparently my memory is trash. As Dawn and Faris made their way through the field at a hurried pace, they couldn't help but to stop. They couldn't help but stop to admire the fruit growing on bushes as they passed them. Faris pointed at a particularly juicy-looking arrot, a fruit that resembled an apple. Faris plucked it from the bush and took a bite, much to Dawn's disapproval. But before he continued running in the direction of the mansion, he tossed the arrot to Dawn. She shook her head, laughed, and snuck in a bite of her own before discarding the fruit on the ground. Littering in the post-apocalyptic time. Unbelievable. Faris won the race back to the mansion as he often did. He took a round key out of his pocket and opened the front door. Wait, shoes off, Dawn said. You know how my parents are. I thought all the mud fell off with how fast I was going, Faris said with a smile, unable to feel and acknowledge the dirt on his forehead just below his brown hair. I think you have dust on your shirt. Haha, you're so funny. Dawn kicked off her shoes, definitely not shoes made for running through a forest, and stepped past Faris into the house. Mom, we're home. Dawn made her way into the dining room. Her mother was sitting at the table with a large book in front of her. Dawn's mom was as beautiful as she was wise, and age did not seem to stunt either. Her long, flowing black hair matched her daughter's, and the hardly visible wrinkles beginning to form on her face only complemented her beauty instead of diminishing it. Playing in the forest again, I see. Dawn's mother pulled the chair beside her out so that Dawn could sit. Hello, Miss Windar, Faris said with a smile as he entered the room. He wasn't nearly as dirty as Dawn, despite leading the way. Dawn wondered how he pulled that off. Maybe it did fall off while he was running so fast. He's a fast boy. Hello, Faris. Dawn's mother pulled the chair on the opposite side of Dawn out for Faris. What are we learning today? Faris asked, hopping up onto the chair. Are we picking up where we left off yesterday? Not quite. Dawn's mom patted the book in front of her. I had Nikolai go out and pick up this book from the Earth Mother yesterday. A book directly from the Earth Mother? Dawn's eyes lit up. The Earth Mother was a mysterious being living in a secluded forest said to be protected by angels. Her wisdom was unmatched, and her knowledge of the old world was vast. Does it explain what the world was like before? Got you tabbed, gotta get ready for bed, alarm's going off in 5 hours. Alright, Fudari, go get some sleep, man. I appreciate you hanging out, even though you gotta be up soon. Also, thank you for gifting that sub to Maddie. I don't remember if I thanked you or not, because apparently my memory is trash. But thank you for the gift sub. Um, Before, Dawn's mother looked at Dawn, then at Faris. Do you recall the lesson from a few days ago? What was the cataclysmic event that is responsible for our world? I forgot, said Dawn. It was it was last week when we spoke about it. The Stregus? Faris said. Close, Faris. Dawn's mother smiled. It's called the Stragus, an overwhelming event that left our world in shambles. Had it not been for the angels from heaven, this world would have ended, and we wouldn't be sitting here today. Does this book talk about the Stragus? Dawn leaned forward, looking at the cover of the book. Even better, my dear. Dawn's mother opened the cover of the book. The pages were yellow, and most of the writing looked faded. As Dawn's mother opened the cover, the book itself creaked, and Dawn noticed some dust coming off the book. This book is a record of life and the world before the Stragus, what people were like, what they went through, the places they lived and traveled. It also touches on the events that led to the Stragus and the people involved. That's not the path toward. I appreciate that, Fedori. I'll do better. You guys got to whip me into shape. I need all the help I could get. This is the history of our world. Faris was also leaning forward in his chair. That is so cool. Indeed. Dawn's mother flipped to the next page. A drawing on the right showed a large skyscraper. Though we're fortunate to live in one of the largest buildings on Chroma, buildings in the old world towered over this one, similar to the lighthouse not too far from here, but even bigger than that. They lived in giant towers? Dawn asked. How did they climb them? There were different ways. Stairs similar to the ones we use were still used then, but they also had these square devices that transported you from the bottom to whatever floor you wanted. Did they have a name? Asked Faris. Elevators. I don't know. This stuff is like funny when you read it like as someone who's living it. Before Dawn's mother could continue, a large man with a light gray beard and gray hair walked into the room. The three at the table turned their attention to him immediately. His large presence commanded the attention of the room. Hello, Dawn. Hello, Faris. The large man spoke. His booming voice filled the room. Hello, Father, Dawn replied with a smile. Hello, Mr. Windar, added Faris. Aurora, may I have a word? The man asked the question but turned and left the room before Dawn's mother could answer. Read through the book and ask me any questions when I return. Just please take care of the book. It's old and I must return it to the Earth Mother tomorrow. Aurora brought her index finger and thumb up to Dawn's chin before sliding her chair out and leaving the table. The two children immediately pounced on the book. What's wrong, Edgar? Aurora walked past her husband and opened a cabinet, removing a tall glass from it and placing it down on a counter in front of her. Aurora, I know you want to teach the children about the past, but I believe it's time we teach them what they need to survive in this world. Are we really cutting into the children's education to have this conversation again? Aurora poured herself a glass of water. Dawn will inherit the family business. It's important that she is well educated so that she may carry herself properly throughout Chroma. And Faris, will the upper class of Chroma really respect a woman who travels with a poor boy? Edgar followed suit with his wife and poured himself a glass of water. We can only cover up the fact that he is from an orphanage for so long. People will question where he comes from, and he's obviously not one of ours. Won't worry about that when the time comes. It'll be easier to explain to Faris when they're older that he needs to simply be her bodyguard and nothing more, Aurora explained. Dawn wouldn't need a bodyguard if we allowed her to get the proper training. I don't know why I said it that way, but... Dawn wouldn't need a bodyguard if we allowed her to get the proper training. If we teach her how to fight at an early age, she would be able to protect herself. Your teachings themselves show how this world is in disarray. It's not the easiest place to grow up wealthy. Everyone sees a target on our backs. They all want a piece of our money and success, and some will stop at nothing to take everything we own. There will come a time when Faris isn't enough to protect her, and she'll need to stand on her own. We agreed to bring only one child into this world. Dawn is that child. Dawn is the only one that could carry on our legacy. I will not raise her like some barbarian from Tark. Aurora put her glass down on the table and fixated her eyes on her husband. She will be elegant and presentable, a woman worthy of this fortune we will pass on to her. Her knowledge will rival that of the Earth Mothers when I'm done with her. Edgar put his glass down on the table, removed one of the chairs, and sat down. He hung his head as if admitting defeat to his wife. I still think we're making a mistake sending her out into this world without preparing her for it. There are monsters, dragons, and demons out there. What may be the worst of them all is the actual people who will try to do her harm. Aurora walked over and put her arm around her husband's shoulders. I understand your concern, honey, but Dawn will not become one of these savages. She deserves to be viewed on a pedestal like the Earth Mother before her. I think I should decide. The tiny voice came from the entrance of the room to the surprise of both parents. Dawn, how long were you listening? Asked Aurora. Long enough. Faris entered the room behind her as she spoke. I don't want to spend my whole life here running the business. I want to go out and explore like Faris and I explore the Davish Forest not far from here. I want to make a difference in this world that isn't just from staying here in our mansion while Nikolai and others run errands for me. I don't want Faris to be my bodyguard. He's my friend. I want to be able to take up arms beside him and strike down whatever is threatening us. It is still a long time before we need to make any decisions, Dawn, Edgar intervened, though her interest in being strong enough to defend herself made him happy. Not that long, Father. Time passes quickly, and soon I will need to know how to fight. Okay, a little prologue action. All right, chapter 1. The bells of the Bawal Empire's throne room rang loudly as the army gathered. Her mom reminds me of mine. Nice. I really like Aurora's character, and I really like Dawn in general, though you would never know it from some of the stuff that happens to Dawn. King Rebel was standing in front of his throne, dressed in all black as he usually was. There was a lot of parallels in that prologue to the opening to Mira's story too. Like her parents over like talking and her walking into the room, like overhearing everything. That was very similar to like Mira with her parents at the beginning of that story too. I didn't realize there were some parallels there. Dressed in all black as he usually was, a few servants came over to him and checked if he needed anything. Standing in front of him was a large man, also dressed in all black, wearing a cape with a gold dragon on it. In one hand was a helmet with some dents in it, and in the other hand was a large dragon's tooth. I noticed that. I was gonna point it out. Yeah, I don't even remember like it being that way. I wrote these so long ago, and like I said, I wrote them in a short span of time. So like rereading them is new to me too sometimes. This is why like I need to extensively reread my stuff before I continue to write those stories, because I literally forget some things, which is not good, but it's just the way it is because there's so much content. A few servants came over and checked if he needed anything. I read that already. In one hand was a helmet with some dents in it, and in the other hand was a large dragon's tooth. The tooth was large enough to cover the length of the man's fingers to his forearm, and was yellow with a hint of green at the root. He was having a difficult time holding it. The king motioned to one of the servants, and they left and hastily returned with a chalice of wine. Yeah, I need to like refresh everything whenever I revisit stories. Even some of the fantasy distraction stuff I need to like double check sometimes, just to be on the safe side and consistent with my own stuff. That will be all, said the king, and the servants went back to their places beside the elevated platform where the king's throne and his most trusted knights and comrades stood. As the king took his seat on the throne, people in the crowd began to talk amongst themselves. Most of the people invited to this hearing were talking about the mysterious man in the cape with the dragon's tooth. One whispered to the other, "No last name? No hometown? No one knows anything about this guy?" "They call him Griffin, and he is a very skilled fighter. That's about all we know," his friend replied. "I regret using the name Griffin because of Berserk, but It is what it is. As skilled as the mighty Synthro, someone behind them chimed in. Doubtful, another in the crowd responded. Synthro would have dragged the entire dragon in here, not just a tooth, he continued. Another man felt it necessary to interrupt. Synthro isn't real. Quit believing the rumors. No one has seen the guy. The first man who spoke laughed. My friend here just told me that until a few days ago, no one had seen this Griffin fellow either. And suddenly, everyone grew silent. A horn sounded, and King Rebel rose to speak. Griffin put his head back for a moment and reflected on what led to this meeting. It was 2 days prior. Griffin had heard rumors of a menace troubling the people of a town called Davish. This town was located just outside Sanctivale, a kingdom located in the northern region of the main continent known as Chroma. When Griffin arrived, the people of the town spoke of a wicked dragon terrorizing them. It's Griffith in Berserk, yeah. One of the most iconic anime villains of all time, yeah. Yeah, but it's similar. And they're okay, he's not as bad as Griffith, but he's pretty out there. Bax the terror of Davish, one villager said. Bax? Griffin said, taking a drink. He was seated in a pub listening to the cries of the people. That's the name of the dragon. Griffin stared at the man as if he had something on his face. The name of the dragon. Did he peek his head out and tell you his name? The villager thought about his statement for a moment, but Griffin placed his drink down and stood up, interrupting his thoughts. What else do you know of this dragon? Everyone who goes into this cave is burned alive or eaten, or burned then eaten. We don't know much else. Another villager explained. That isn't much help. Griffin walked out of the pub, and some of the desperate villagers followed him. The cave is east? Yes, just before Pura. Pura was a town belonging to Sanctivale. Griffin did not say another word. He adjusted the belt attached to the sheath of his sword, and adjusted his cape as well, as the rope keeping it on his back was bothering his neck. He walked out of the village and in the direction of the cave. He's going alone? He knows it's an ascended dragon, right? Another will fall to Bax. By the time Griffin reached the cave, day had surrendered to night, and Griffin was forced to light a torch before entering. Maybe I should wait till morning, he thought. The shadows moved around him as if to sway him to proceed further. He walked quietly as he moved the torch to expose his surroundings. All he found was bones of those who came before him. After a few moments of slow footsteps, he heard the loud breathing of the beast. He raised his torch to reveal the ascended dragon, known to the villagers as Bax, known to Griffin as something else entirely. The dragon was enormous. Griffin wondered how it fit inside the cave to begin with, and knew its lack of movement would be to his benefit. It was sitting up against the wall, its long neck curved against the cave's ceiling, its tiny hands full of sharp claws placed on its bulging belly. No doubt filled with those who came before Griffin in an effort to thwart the threat of the dragon. Its face was long and consisted almost entirely of its jaw and long, sharp teeth. Tiny eyes protruded from its skull, and two small holes formed the nostrils that were pushing smoke out every time the beast snored. A bit of drool and remnants of blood from its most recent victims dripped from its mouth. Avernax, one of the first ascended dragons ever born, Griffin shouted, stirring the beast from its slumber. Avernax leaned forward, startled and angry. Its quick reaction forced flames from its mouth that Griffin evaded and placed himself behind a rock to avoid any further attacks. Griffin grabbed the handle of his blade but did not remove it from its sheath just yet. I did not expect you to move to a home so far removed from the Mundus Draconum. I changed the name of the dragon foe, by the way. To anyone who has the self-published book, it's not the dragon foe anymore. It is the Mundus Draconum. That was a recent change. I must have came in and did that because this version of it that I published has it as the dragon foe, I'm pretty sure. What page is this? I wonder how similar it is. 13? Sorry. I just think it's funny. He's looking, he's looking. Another will fall to backs, blah, blah, blah. I'll get there, chat. Hold on. Technical difficulties. This entire page missing from this book? There's no way, right? The literal page I need, I can't even get to. This is how messed up this book is. This page might actually be missing. Like, am I crazy? The one page I need is actually missing. What are the odds? It goes from 11 to 14. No shot. This is why I don't want to send this book to anybody. I think this page is actually missing. Like, there's no way it's that stuck together. What are the odds? The one page I need is just not in. It's just not in the book. It literally goes from 11 to 14. That's crazy. That just further proves why I don't want to send these books out. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's Dragon Foe in the original. It was spelled like faux pas too. I don't know why I did that. It's like F-A-U-X. I just thought it looked cool. So yeah, I had to change that. So wherever you see Mundus Draconum, that's the Dragon Foe. I don't think I changed it in the actual book, like on Google Docs. So if we read any of that live, it'll still be Dragon Foe, but they're the same thing. I did not expect you to move to a home so far removed from the Mundus Draconum, Griffin laughed, but the dragon advanced to his right, forcing him to move around the rock. Sky must not be happy with your departure. Speak your name, human. How do you come upon mine? Ah, yes. Griffin revealed himself from behind the rock, one of the few ascended dragons whose tongue can form words. I have never seen you before, yet your knowledge of dragonkin is vast. Who are you, human? Do not ask again. Griffin drew his sword. When he looked up, he noticed that Avernax's wings could not even fit inside the cave. They were pinned to the walls. Not the wisest of homes for a dragon as large as yourself. Avernax blew more fire, and Griffin once again found refuge behind the rock. The fire that lingered on the ground provided extra light as Griffin watched the shadows on the wall dance. As if you would know, human. You are but a speck on the ground to me. Griffin laughed. Your flames do not scare me, Avernax. Griffin expected an answer, but the answer took a more violent form than he anticipated. Avernax jumped forward and swiped his claw, demolishing the rock that Griffin hid behind. It was foolish to come here alone, human. Avernax brought his mouth down with a bite, but Griffin parried the attack with his sword and jumped backwards to keep space between them. The dragon advanced and blew more fire, but the shadows on the wall created by the fire gathered in front of Griffin and formed a wall that blocked the attack and dissipated the flames around him. The darkness fights for you? And for that reason I am never alone. Griffin's sword flew through the shadow wall and found the skin just under the dragon's mouth, one of the few soft spots on a dragon's body. The dragon roared and leaned back, but the shadows formed ropes that pinned the beast to the ground. Blood streamed from its wound and splashed the ground when Griffin removed his blade. Let all of those who brought the fall of my true kin find justice in the form of my blade, and regret the mistake of leaving one member of the Frostfear tribe alive. His child? Impossible! The dragon's eyes grew wide. Griffin brought his sword up and brought it down to rip the dragon's throat apart. Let us pay tribute to the savior of Davish. King Rebel's words brought Griffin back to the present, and ask what the mighty Griffin wants as his reward. I wish only to serve Chroma and remove any other dragons that pose a threat to our beloved continent. You suggest we start a war with the dragons? Sky Highborn has shown no interest in feuding with our kind. Their words caused a stir in the crowd behind them. It is only a matter of time before the dragon can become like Bax, turning their flames upon us. It is a simple fact that creatures that think they are superior to other creatures feel the need to conquer those that are weaker. Griffin turned to the crowd. Will we stand idly by as the dragonkin amass a force that humans cannot possibly compete with? Surely you have seen the ascended dragons soar the skies above Mundus Draconum. Their flames will destroy our cities, one man cried out. Our homes and fields, another answered. Do you wish for your people to live in fear until the dragons destroy us? Or will you rise above the threat and crush it before we are devoured? What do you suggest? Asked the king. The feeble minds of Boal are easy to manipulate, Griffin thought. Give me an army and I will march into Mundus Draconum and outsmart the Dragonkin, and see that they fall. An entire army? No. The crowd erupted in protest. The volume of King Rebel's voice rose to match the crowd. I will not forfeit my entire army to be slaughtered by dragons, while Sanctivel and Azuldra pose a threat. We will be too vulnerable. I need men to fight the dragons, Griffin said. Defeating one alone was no easy task. I could not defeat them all by myself. I will give you resources to recruit your own men. Find the strongest among us and get them to back you, and perhaps I will lend you my support. King Rebel sat back down in his chair. The people of his empire were furious and yelling behind Griffin. Shadow, come here. A figure emerged from the darkness behind the throne holding a large book under his arm. His entire body was covered in a black cloak, and the darkness covered all but the bottom of his face. I knew you would ask for this book, my lord. Here it is. Do not hand it to me, you useless wretch. I would not touch such a decrepit thing. Give it to the Dragon Slayer. Shadow walked over to Griffin and handed him the book. Forgive me, your majesty. What does this book contain? Griffin was confused by the gesture. A list, mostly made up of places that don't even exist anymore, King Rebel responded with a crooked smile. Amidst the text, you may find a place or two of use in finding your men. I killed an ascended dragon by myself, and you present me, and you present me with a book of outdated information? Griffin held the book out in front of him. I present you opportunity. Form a group of knights under my rule, and I will double your numbers. Then you could have your war with the dragons. Griffin went to speak, but the king stood again and cut him off. That is enough for the day. The king left the room with Shadow and his knights behind him. The townspeople were still angry and talking to each other as they began to exit the room. Griffin clutched the book tightly and exited. A tall knight in black armor stopped Griffin with his hand as he was walking out. I would have words, Dragon Slayer. You could tell I was watching a lot of Spartacus at this time, because they say stuff like that. I would have words. I would have words, Dragon Slayer. The knight was holding a black helmet with 2 points sticking out on either side. Around his waist was a one-handed mace, which Griffin found odd as most knights of Boal were known for wielding swords. All but one. General Gerard Pace, said Griffin. I expected you to be standing behind your king's throne, where most generals reside during meetings. You know of me? He was in the Wyglav story that we released on Fantasy Distractions like a week or two ago. I make a note to know all of the generals on Chroma. Max Alexian of Sanctivel, Kelvin A. Sidon of Azuldra, and Alencia Skyfall of Rubrum. Most of which are famous, yet many do not know I own the title for Boal. Gerard said, walking out towards a training area set up just outside the castle walls. Griffin followed the general. A title seemingly wasted in a kingdom such as this. Gerard stopped to stare at Griffin. Forgive my rudeness, King Rebel's words have. Do not apologize, you are right. For years I have served as general of Boal, yet no one even knows. There's no honor in being the general in an army uninterested in progress. We sit idly waiting for an attack from Azuldra or Rubrum. We sit around waiting for Max Alexian to lead Sanctivel into Boal for revenge, yet it has been years since Boal marched on them, and there has been no signs of retaliation. Then what do you spend your days doing? Watching over the new recruits as they train, providing helpful tips on how to be a warrior? But there are no warriors here, I'm afraid. The men the king sends me to train are not fit to wield a sword, nor do they have the mind for it. Think of the glory that would be bestowed upon you if you were to bring down the mighty dragons located in Mundus Draconum. Griffin laughed as he looked into the distance, as if Gerard wasn't even there before looking right at him. At least that's what I think to myself. You might be onto something, Gerard said. Something I may want to be a part of, something more interesting than this. You are the general of Bawal. I would not take you away from that. Come, Dragon Slayer. Gerard motioned Griffin over with his hand. I want to show you something. Gerard is connected to Wyglav. He's you'll see. He's literally coming up right now. Gerard led Griffin out toward a few knights being trained. Some were using swords with shields, a few wielded maces like the general, and some had two-handed swords. Majority of these men were clumsy with their attacks, leaving openings that Griffin noted in his mind before the general interrupted his thoughts. You could see more clearly now that there are no soldiers among them. This is what King Rebel has us do, day in and day out, but it is all for naught. Forgive me if I'm overstepping my boundaries, General, but perhaps the fault lies in the men training these boys, suggested Griffin. A keen observation, which I will get back to. The mage who brought you the book with the information, Gerard interrupted one boy's training to correct his stance. Shadow, I believe he is called, said Griffin as Gerard joined him. Yes, he is no ordinary mage. The man is a necromancer, a specialist when it comes to resurrecting the dead. He intends for these boys to die for his experiments. Griffin looked around him. There are hundreds of boys here. Boys that will have their skeletons reanimated to fight rebels' wars for him. And what of you, General? He will keep his real warriors alive, to keep order within his ranks, to have soldiers to send to the other armies for the sake of conversation. Gerard stopped in front of the final group of boys training. Unlike the others, these boys were all in proper formation and swinging their weapons like real warriors. There is no honor in leading a bunch of lifeless skeletons. I am ashamed to be the general of this empire. I will not become just a simple messenger when I stand his greatest warrior. One I had the honor of molding. A deep voice joined their quiet conversation. A wide man stood in front of the boys training. He had both of his hands behind his back as he observed what they were doing. His gray hair spiked on one side, flattened in the middle, and then spiked again on the other. That was the best I could describe, like the Wolverine haircut. On his back was a large round shield, and sheathed on his waist was a long silver blade with a black handle. This is what I wanted to show you, Dragon Slayer. The only group of boys that won't die and become skeletons. They have been trained by a dear friend of mine, Wyglav Flace. It is an honor to meet you, Wyglav. Griffin offered his hand as Wyglav turned around after Gerard's introduction. I said it like Turduncan that time. Likewise, Wyglav accepted the gesture. I hear you defeated the dragon near Davish. You will have to tell me about how you did it so I can teach my men. You will not be teaching these men for much longer, I'm afraid, added Gerard. What do you mean, General? Wyglav stood tall in respect to Gerard. How do you consider your ability to judge a man's true worth? A man's true worth is hard to judge, General. When it comes to a man's fighting ability, I stand unequaled. Wyglav placed his right hand on the handle of his blade. I can see the true potential in men, and if they will amount to anything on the battlefield. Your unique ability? Asked Griffin. Just a gift, Dragon Slayer, born from experience, answered Wyglav. Then if Griffin and I were to travel the world in search of the strongest warriors on Chroma, your gift garnered from experience would be rather helpful. Gather the strongest fighters in the world? To what end? Wyglav rubbed the gray beard on his face. The general is interested in helping me rid the world of the dragonkin, said Griffin. I'm too old to be running around fighting dragons, Wyglav said through a muffled laugh. Age was never an excuse for you before, Wyglav. Your talents are wasted here. You train men to die, nothing more. Soon our army will be nothing but bones. Gerard spoke too loudly, and some of the men stopped what they were doing. Stopped their training. Prove the general wrong, boys. Carry on, shouted Wyglav before joining Gerard and Griffin farther from the troops. Have you found out more about the king and Shadow's plans that I don't know about? He has successfully made a few skeletons. He just needs the corpses to make more. These men are intended to be those corpses. And what of us? Wyglav asked. He told me that I would continue to serve, to act as a messenger to other armies and nothing more. He made no mention of you. Gerard shook his head. I will not sit by idly as our king makes a mockery of our army, casting aside all of our efforts so that he can win his wars with forbidden magic. Our only hope to fight honorably is to fight the dragons, then? Has the king agreed to let you do this? Not yet, but the king has given Griffin permission to form his own group of Dragon Knights. If we both join him, then our lives will not be forfeited for some necromancer's schemes. But the lives of these men, Wyglav said. He turns his attention back to the boys he was training. Lost whether you're here or not, I'm afraid, added Griffin, who was quietly letting them sort this out themselves until now. Traveling with me in search of the strongest warriors on Chroma will guarantee your life is not among the ones lost for this cause. Then let us go, said Wyglav. I will not be associated with this madness. We will need enough supplies to travel north to Azuldra. That should be our first stop. Sanctivel and Rubrum require us to cross past Davish into Dragonkin territory, explained Griffin. That would be the smartest approach, agreed Wyglav. The mages of Azuldra are the best on Chroma, and it would be wise to get one into our group. Preferably one that specializes in water or ice magic, added Griffin. I know of one, Gerard said. We will see if he still calls Azuldra his home when we get there. I will have some servants prepare supplies and some horses for us. How soon should we leave? As soon as possible, said Griffin. Let us not waste more time here in Bawal. With you two as a part of the team, I can't imagine stronger or better candidates here. I will help make preparations, Wyglav said, heading in the direction of the stables. Allow me to join you so that I may better gauge what our supplies look like, Griffin added, following alongside Wyglav. I will join the both of you shortly. There are some matters I must attend to before I leave. Gerard went in the opposite direction. Yeah, so you remembered correctly. It was funny, like Wyglav is literally like the scene after. But yeah, Wyglav and Gerard are like heavily connected to each other. Info, what's up? Oh, we have I'm so bad at keeping up with the YouTube side of things because we haven't been getting a lot of messages in there. Dizzy Dale, who has been watching me on Twitch forever, threw some emotes in there, and This Journey Called Life. Thank you so much for the emotes. Those are over on YouTube because we're multi-streaming to the Fantasy Distractions YouTube channel. So thank you guys for those comments. It's 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m. The perfect time for writing advice. What other writing advice do you need? If I'll do my best to answer. I liked what was mentioned in that video. It seems like it's gonna be a cool story. Yeah, like they're very closely connected and way more fleshed out in the prequel because, like I said, I had so much to cover in book 1, and book 1 is so heavily focused on Valak that I don't really get to dive into their backstories as much. So it's nice that we kind of get that in here. Just a question, do you know any 8-thing concepts? Not off the top of my head. I know what that is though. But I haven't like looked at that type of stuff in a while. Sometimes the best creativity is in the middle of the night. There's so many times I'm just like laying in bed and then I get an idea and then I'm up for like another 2 hours for no reason. When I was in my old house, excuse me, at my old house, I used to sleep with a notebook next to me. I should probably still do that, just in case. But I don't really have that many like new ideas late at night lately because most of it is like planned out ahead of time now, as opposed to back in the day. I guess with Fantasy Distractions, though, I do come up with a lot on the fly. What have you been trying to figure out, Info? I'm gonna keep like reading in between, but I'll answer you. Gerard rode a horse east of the Corpus Castle, which was the castle of his king, Rebel. He entered into the village of Diremore, his horse doing its best to avoid the cracks and crevices. Is crevices not a word? That made up its ground. Toward the back of the village stood a large building with multiple sets of stairs leading to a door. A sign just outside the gate leading to the stairs read Pace Manor. Gerard pulled his horse past the sign and through the opening of the gate, tying it to the fence from the inside. Instead of entering, he stood outside the house he grew up in. He stared up. At first, the memories of the good old days passed through his mind, but then he recalled the last time he had been home. The entire village of Diremore could be seen from the balcony of the third floor of the Pace House. Every single crack in the land, each disfigured tree, and even the disgruntled citizens traversing the dirt-filled walkways. Gerard, the oldest of 4 children, stood on the balcony. This is a flashback. It was worded kind of weird. He's remembering the last time he had been home. So it's like a flashback, this part. It's just a character concept, but I'm looking for a base concept that's based on 8 individual things. Interesting. Do you have any of the things yet? So I can like kind of try to connect some things for you, or did you not even get that far yet? His charcoal black armor covering him from the neck down, his trademark horned helmet tucked tightly under his arm, and a long black cape with the skeleton head sigil of the Bawal Empire on his back. The Corpus Castle of the Bawal Empire was also visible from the balcony, and gathered the majority of Gerard's attention. No, I want a concept with like 8 things. Interesting. Very interesting. I can help you with that. When we're in between like reading and stuff. How long do you plan on staring out that window? Said a soft voice from behind him. How long have you been standing there, Emily? Gerard did not turn to meet her gaze. Long enough to realize the man standing before me is no longer my brother, she answered. I will always be your brother. Gerard turned around to face her. Corpus Castle standing tall in the distance behind him. A title won't change that. You are the General of Bawal now. You will never have time to visit us. She looked away from him, trying to hide how sad she was. She wanted to be happy for her brother. Ever since father passed, you have kept this family afloat. I became General of Bawal to continue to do so. It is the only reason I do what I do. You're aware of that, aren't you? He pushed the strands of her long brown hair that covered her face out of the way. Father would be so proud of you, she finally said in reply. I am honored to continue his legacy. He was a knight too, yes, but not a general. He is remembered by us and his closest companions. You will go down as a legend. She finally smiled. A legend? You really think so? Gerard returned the smile. I think you're getting a bit ahead of yourself. You know how the deadly sins are 7? Something like that, but 8. Very hard to complain because it came to me yesterday, so it's still fresh. Explain. Oh, explain. Okay. Explain, not complain. Yeah, I think like even this story, I think there was concepts behind like there are like these relic weapons, basically like these really powerful weapons in the story. You like my shirt, Dizzy? Thank you, man. I wore it for Mistral because Mistral's a big Aerith fan, but yeah, it's made by Coinbox Tees, and she's just blocking Sephiroth with the steel chair. The most powerful weapons in the Soldier's Crest universe, it's kind of like a rule of 8 type of thing. There's 8 of them, but I had a reasoning for it. I was reading my notes the other day where I talked about this. If I can find that again, it might even be on Google Drive somewhere. But if I can find the notebook with that, I'll have to break that down and see if I can like pull something from it that'll help you with that idea. Yeah, Dizzy, you can't see it, but in Twitch chat we actually have some Final Fantasy VII emotes in anticipation of Rebirth coming out. So next time you're in my Twitch chat, you have to check those out. Although I do love people being in the YouTube stream side of it because it counts towards watch hours, which I desperately need. But yeah. A legend? You really think so? Gerard returned the smile. I think you're getting a bit ahead of yourself. King Rebel hardly uses his knights, but now that he has named a general, he has to use you. Gerard was snapped back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. So yeah, that's my current writing thoughts. Try to figure this out. Yeah, I mean, I like concepts like that. It'll be interesting if you could pull it off because the 7 deadly sins side of it isn't really like unique because we know about the 7 deadly sins. But if you can do it in a way that it's like your own with 8 different things that are connected but make sense to the reader, that could be really interesting. Alright, Gerard was snapped back to the present by the creaking of the front door of his house. The fact that it was unlocked worried him. He made his way up the long set of stairs and pushed his way inside. Emily? He called out. Your brother is home. Gerard? Is that you? A tall woman with long brown hair emerged from one of the rooms of the house. I almost didn't recognize you without your helmet on, she said with a smile. Very funny. Gerard embraced her with a hug. You look skinny. Thank you, brother, she smiled as she made her way back into the room she emerged from. Gerard followed her. I didn't mean that as a compliment. Have you been eating? I've been sending money whenever I'm able. The room Gerard followed her into was a kitchen, but most of the cabinets were bare. The sink had only a few dishes in it, and the dining table had nothing on it. Mom is sick again, Emily said, reaching into one of the cabinets and pulling out a glass before sticking her hand in for another. I've had to pay the healers here to help her get medicine and find some comfort, but the money isn't enough. I've tried to do some local work myself, but I'm just not strong enough to help with what needs to be done here. I can put in a word at the pub. You can be a waitress again. Don't you think I've already tried that? They won't take me back. They say I scare too many people off. She poured them both water and put Gerard's glass on the table and slid it towards him. You scare people off? The hell does that mean? You see the way Rebel treats his people. If they hire me, our customers will think that if they don't show me the proper amount of respect, sister of the great Balwal general, that Rebel will punish them. She took a sip of her water. That's ridiculous. They won't hire you because of me? That's the gist of it, yeah. She leaned her back against the sink and put her head back. We're in a bad way here, Gerard. I'll go talk to them. He finished his water and put it down on the table. I think you're missing the point. You going to talk to them is exactly why they won't hire me in the first place. Gerard stopped and looked at her. The way he looked at her crushed her. Here was her brother, the general of Bawal, the man their father would be so proud of if he were still alive, unable to provide for his family despite his accomplishments. She could see it eating him up inside. You don't visit just to tell me I'm not eating. What was the real reason you came here? It's not that important. We need to solve your money issues before I can leave. Leave home and return to Bawal, or are you going somewhere? She finished her water and placed her glass and Gerard's in the sink. Are you leaving Bawal on a mission? Yes, something like that. I think it's time that I find purpose. I met a man named Griffin today. He killed the dragon that's been terrorizing Davish. Whoa, a real dragon slayer? What if the dragon can retaliate? That's part of the reason why I'm leaving Bawal for a while. Griffin asked Wyglaff and me to help him stop the dragons, but we need to recruit some more soldiers. You're gonna go recruit dragon slayers. Emily tried to hide the look of concern on her face, but Gerard's reaction to her made it obvious that she did a bad job of it. Do you hear how ridiculous that sounds? We're not at war with the dragons. Why would you taunt them into terrorizing us any further? I haven't had time because of school and work. I'll probably figure it out if I take an hour-long shower and pour all the shower thoughts into that. That's a good strategy. It's only a matter of time before they attack. We just want to make sure we'll be ready when the time comes. Gerard leaned against the counter and folded his arms. Monsters that feel they are superior to us will eventually try to conquer us. Is that what Griffin told you? I want to meet this Griffin, especially if you two are going to be traveling with him. I think he might talk a great deal, but maybe he isn't quite backing it up the way you think. The way you two think. He walked into Bawal with a giant dragon's tooth. I think he was speaking the truth. He walked into the cave and got that tooth. Was there no one helping him? He killed the dragon, Emily. I believe the story. Pax is no longer terrorizing Davish. We've heard no reports of the dragon being seen recently. So you were there when he killed it? Emily also had her arms folded now. Why are you being difficult? Of course I wasn't there when he killed it, but he brought back proof. Exhausted by the conversation already, Gerard put his hands out, hoping his sister would just understand him. You're a general in a fancy castle without enough weight to provide for your struggling family. Do you know what I am? Emily asked, pacing towards the end of the table in the kitchen. Gerard stayed silent. I'm the second oldest child, trying to care for two other sisters and a sick mother without my older brother or my father. I don't know what you want me to say. He understood what she was going through, but even if he stayed in Bawal, it would make no difference. I want you to stay, Gerard. Leave the Empire behind and come help support our family. I can't do it alone anymore. Emily knew what she was asking was impossible, but she had to try. You know I can't leave the Empire, Gerard said. Rebel would never let me just call it quits and leave out of nowhere. Just leave, Emily said before she sighed. You and Father are exactly alike, and I've been picking up the pieces ever since he died. You like to think it was you making the difference after all these years, but you've done nothing. Gerard went to speak, but Emily cut him off. Don't say another word, Gerard. Please leave. Go find your dragon slayers, hunt your dragons, but don't you dare come back here when you're done. She walked over to the counter and faced the cabinets, tears in her eyes, unable to face her brother, knowing the damage she had just done. Gerard felt it best not to press any further. He stared at the back of her head for a few seconds before leaving the house. When he made his way back down the long winding stairs, he saw Griffin waiting for him at the bottom. Everything okay? Griffin asked. He had heard the shouting. It's fine. Everything ready? Gerard looked down at his helmet. He was holding it in both hands now. Yeah, family drama. I don't remember it being like that. Rough, but it was pretty rough. Gerard looked down at his helmet. He was holding it in both hands now. Yeah, I sent Wyglaff and his friend to scout Davish. Griffin was carrying a bag of supplies. Wyglaff's friend? Gerard couldn't recall Wyglaff having many close friends. Rapez? One of the newer knights in Bawal? Griffin said as he began to walk towards a carriage nearby. Ah yes, I think he and Wyglaff have grown close. Gerard walked toward Griffin. There's your man, Mistral. He suggested he accompany us on this journey. Davish should have some potentially strong fighters, but I think we'll find more promising fighters in Azuldra. You said you know someone? A mage. He was training at one of the schools there last I saw him. That was a few years ago, so he may have graduated by now. Either way, we could ask around for his location. Gerard opened the door to the carriage and let Griffin enter first. I hope you didn't need anything from the castle. I packed enough supplies for all of us. Griffin peeked out the window even though they weren't moving yet. What you packed is fine. I just want to get this adventure started. Gerard sat across from Griffin. From his side, he could see his home through the window. Gerard never took his eyes off it. The weight of Amelie's words still heavy on his mind and heart. Yeah, he mentioned Rabez. That's your man. That's why I said there's your man. All right, chapter 2. All good, all good. He didn't like physically appear yet. So soon. I think he's in this chapter, actually. Davish was a small town located in the middle of Chroma that acted as a passageway between the front of the Sanctivale territories and the start of the Rubrum territories. Behind the town was the largest stretch of land where the majority of the agriculture on Chroma was done. In the middle of that land was the Windar Mansion. A large carriage pulled up to the front of the mansion, and Wyglaff was the first one to step out. The only other person to emerge from the carriage was a large man, taller than Wyglaff, though not as wide in frame. His long blue hair hung down to his shoulders, and his muscular physique struggled to fit into his leather armor. Around his waist was a large cutlass, and the right side of his chest bore the skeleton head sigil of the Bawal Empire. The pub said we should try here, Wyglaff explained. I have little expectations. Supposedly the Windar daddy has been hounding the locals to help train his daughter. If he spent his own time training her himself instead of bothering everyone else, she'd probably be a fierce warrior already, Rapez laughed. He's already being a jerk. It's all good, Mistral. It was just kind of like a weird off to the side thing. Dizzy asked me, what's your favorite stuff to write about? Battle scenes, deep lore dumps, etc. I used to love doing battle scenes. I thought I was really good at it. But I know most people don't like fight scenes, like to be super drawn out. So I've grown more attached to like short form writing that we do on Fantasy Distractions, I guess, where it's like it's a little on the shorter side. It's very like story heavy and then usually like a little twisty. I like that. Like in the books, you could still do that type of writing, but the payoff takes longer. Like the Mirror side story that we read had some payoffs that happened like 80 pages later. Whereas with like Fantasy Distractions, they're like 2 to 4 pages long, and I could kind of like hit those stages quick and have that like pretty nice payoff in there. So probably more like the story side of things, if I could make it a little like twisty, I guess. That is a great question though. I used to love writing fight scenes though. I got started writing because of anime, so I used to write like very anime-esque fight scenes, and then I kind of learned that they were not as good as I thought because I used to use the word hard too much. Everything was hard. Like he punched him hard, threw him to the ground hard, and it would be like multiple times in the same paragraph. It was terrible. It was a great story though. Really enjoyed Mira's side. Yeah, I gotta write the rest. Mira's got some really cool stories. Um, she does not appear in this book as far as I remember. Rapez is in it a decent amount though. Wyglaff paid the man driving the carriage and then sent him off on his way. He turned back and walked past Rapez and up to the door of the mansion. After he knocked, he caught Rapez gazing out into the meadows. Fascinating, isn't it? Wyglaff said. Just a lot of empty space, kind of a waste if you ask me. Rapez shrugged as he looked back at the door. Not a waste. Every type of fruit you can imagine is grown out here. It's an endless array of food fit for warriors. Yeah, you lost me at fruit. Where's all the beer being made? Rapez was still staring at the door. He pounded his fist on it. Anyone in there? The door finally opened. Can I help you? Aurora was the one who answered it, her long black hair now peppered with gray strands. We're here to see your husband, Edgar, Wyglaff said with a smile. Edgar's out in the back with the children. Would you like me to take you there? Aurora was also smiling. Wyglaff thought it weird that there wasn't a servant answering the door. That would be great, said Wyglaff. Follow me. Aurora stepped between them and Rapez looked at Wyglaff with a big smile. Don't even think about it, Wyglaff said, his face like a statue. Why do you have to be so serious about everything? She's hot. Rapez's smile got bigger by the moment. Don't you have a girlfriend? Wyglaff asked. The cat? Well, they mentioned Mira, at least. It's complicated. We're spending time away from each other right now. Rapez was studying the back of Aurora's head, wondering if she could hear them. Sorry to hear that, Aurora said, as if reading his thoughts. Sorry, ma'am. I meant no disrespect by my comments, Rapez said, tightening up as Wyglaff punched him in the arm. No need to say sorry, I'm flattered. Aurora laughed as she playfully looked behind her. Is Edgar not paying enough attention to you? Rapez received another punch after his question. He spends every day he isn't working out here training with the children. I wanted Dawn to become my replacement in running the family business. My husband took her to see Alencia Skyfall fight in the tournaments in Rubrum when she was a little girl, and she has never been the same since. Aurora's smile and friendly vibe was gone. If he has been training her since she was a little girl, then why is Edgar looking for someone to train her? Wyglaff asked. Damn, I shipped them and it's complicated. Understandable though. Yeah, they're an interesting couple, to say the least. So obviously the Mira side story that we read and this, there's a lot of time in between them. Obviously. So like a lot like Rapez is a lot older, Mira's a lot older. So yeah, it's complicated at the moment. In this part of the story. Then that's why you're here. Aurora stopped just before the end of the building. It felt like they were walking forever. You're here to take my daughter away from me. Not quite, Wyglaff said. It's more of an assessment, really. It's fine. I knew this day would come, and I won't fight you over it. I tried my hardest to sway Edgar, but there is no swaying my daughter now. Him I could win over, but she's too stubborn to be denied this opportunity. She is beyond here? Asked Rapez as he walked to the end of the house. Yes, I shall return inside. Please tell Edgar your decision. Aurora walked the other way back towards the front of the house. She was nice, said Wyglaff. Protective, at least, Rapez added. Nothing wrong with that. Wyglaff walked around the corner and found a large backyard. mostly with fruits being grown in a large garden. In the middle was a large square formed with rocks. In the middle of that were 3 practice dummies. An older man in full blue armor stood next to one of the dummies. He held it tight as the young woman in front of him landed attack after attack with a wooden stick. To her right was a young man of similar age hitting one of the other dummies with a wooden dagger. Older than I expected, said Wyglaff. I thought they were going to be younger. They look late teens, maybe even early 20s, Rapez added his assessment. You must be Edgar, Wyglaff said as he extended his hand. I am. Who might you be? Edgar let go of the dummy and accepted Wyglaff's greeting. Aurora let you two in, I assume? She did. Rapez also offered his hand. We were recently at the Davish pub and heard you were looking for someone to help train your kid. You heard right, though she isn't much of a kid anymore. Edgar turned back to Dawn and Ferris. Dawn, Ferris, come over here. He waved them over. I have 2 men I'd like you to meet. Bawal Army sigils. Ferris put his hand out to shake Rapez's and then Wyglaff's. You're a quick study, said Wyglaff with a laugh. We are from Bawal. A pleasure to meet you, Dawn said with a bow. Are you here to train Ferris and me? More of an assessment. Wyglaff crossed his arms. We're looking to recruit some young fighters for a very important mission. I'm really liking Aurora too. Their family is interesting. Yeah, Dawn. This is like low-key kind of Dawn's origin story more than anybody else's. Dawn is kind of really important to this one. Pleasure to meet you, Dawn said with a bow. Are you here to train Ferris and me? More of an assessment. Wyglaff crossed his arms. We're looking to recruit some young fighters for a very important mission. Perhaps we could show you what we could do then, Ferris grinned. Please do. Rapez put his hand out towards the dummies, urging another presentation. Dawn and Ferris began showing off what they could do. What type of important mission? Asked Edgar. He watched Dawn and Ferris perform the attacks he taught them on the dummies. I'm afraid that's classified, said Wyglaff. You're not going to war with Sanctiville or Azuldra again, are you? Edgar never took his eyes off the kids. No, King Rebel has no interest in such things. Not anymore, answered Rapez. Good. I don't want them caught in some large-scale war. Edgar looked up at Rapez. He towered over both of them. What do you think? The girl is a natural, Rapez said. Easily could be in any of the top armies. The boy needs work, Wyglaff added. His attacks are clumsy. Wyglaff walked over and Rapez and Edgar followed. Keep this arm straighter, Wyglaff corrected Ferris's stance. When you attack, it needs to be precise and true. A dagger is a deadly weapon, but the one holding it must be equally as deadly. It takes great skill to master a blade like this. Like this? Ferris did it without Wyglaff's help and swung awkwardly at the dummy. Close, but keep practicing. Wyglaff turned to Dawn. Your attacks are thorough, but your balance is off. An opponent with a keen eye would exploit your attacks rather easily. You must learn how to make your movements unpredictable, and you must work on your agility. I have been working on my speed every day with sprints and cardio, explained Dawn, ironically out of breath as she spoke. Keep at it. You'll get it. Wyglaff nodded to her with a smile. He walked back over to Edgar and Rapez. Well? Edgar said with a smile of his own. I can't take them, not at their current level. Wyglaff walked past him. That's it? That was enough for your assessment? Edgar matched Wyglaff's pace. He wasn't that fast to begin with, so it was easy for Edgar to get in front of him and plead his case. You didn't even see their arts. Unless their arts are one-shotting dragons or conjuring beer from thin air, I'm not sure it's going to make a difference, Rapez said. I'm not saying we will never be interested in them. I'm just saying that they need more practice before I'm willing to take them under my wing. Wyglaff stood in front of the mansion. The walk back to the front seemed way quicker than the walk to the back. I'm sorry if that disappoints you. Perhaps someday soon I will return and provide more instruction to help them improve. In the meantime, continue to have them practice daily. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely need to hydrate. Conjuring beer out of thin air. I also like that I used the term one-shotting. Like, unless they can one-shot dragons. That's like such like a gamer move. This will crush their spirits, Edgar said. It's up to you to make sure it doesn't. Wycliffe patted Edgar on the shoulder, then walked away. Edgar stood there, watching them leave, defeated. On the way back to their carriage that was stationed near one of the farms to gather food for the journey back to Bawal, Rapez couldn't help but break the silence. I didn't want to question you in front of Edgar because it seems you made your decision, but I think you made a mistake not taking that Dawn girl. Rapez grabbed an arrot off a nearby bush and took a bite. She's got a lot of potential. She's got a ton of potential, sir. Gamer lingo, yeah. Potential is great. I saw what she was capable of. But right now, she just isn't ready to be fighting people, let alone dragons. I have no doubt she'll be a formidable warrior one day soon. Today is not that day. Alright, chapter 3. I might just run. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. I've been drinking a lot of water. I also need to get another water because this one's almost out. But give me 1 sec. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, let me know what you guys think so far, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Trying a honey drop because I felt my throat getting like a little hoarse. We're trying a honey drop. Um, Izzy asked me best way. Thank you for the applause. Dizzy asked me what the best way to get past writer's block is. Actually, Infa asked me this last night on our normal stream. But I have two ways that I do it. Well, first of all, Infa mentioned taking a shower because thinking about your stories in the shower and making out scenes in your head. That's clutch. Showers are clutch. But my two ways that I mentioned the other night, and I'll get to what you wrote in Twitch chat, Mistral, in a second. Sorry, but I have two different ways. I go back to things that motivate me to write in the first place. Like earlier on, like I said, anime was like a big influence. So like whatever animes that I really enjoyed the stories, I'll go back and like rewatch them or just rewatch like certain episodes I really like. Dizzy, you know that I'm a big Spartacus fan. So Spartacus is another one because the Spartacus writing, even though it's not similar to the writing that I do, and it's not fantasy related, whenever I watch Spartacus, Spartacus motivates me to write and work out. So it's like a double bingo. So I just try to like go back to things that get me in the mood to write in the first place. There are some games that do it. I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Certain games get the like ideas flowing for me. The other thing that I had mentioned was the thing that actually helped me finish writing my first book was I would commit to writing a sentence a day, because especially like me, I can never sit down and just write a sentence. So if you commit to the sentence a day and you go to write that sentence, you're never going to write just a sentence. You're always going to write like a paragraph. Maybe that paragraph turns into a page. And even if like you're having writer's block, just start jotting some things down. You could always go back and change it later. So like try to commit to that one sentence, even if when you write you like hate, at least it gets you writing. And then once that flow begins, you'll usually get out of a slump, I've noticed. Like my poster painting, yeah, that used to be hanging in my sister's apartment in the old house, and we just threw it up on the wall when we moved. So that's my sister's painting. She didn't paint it, but it's hers. So shout out to her for that one. All right. Mistral. What did Mistral write for me? That was a great chapter, and not just because of Rapez. I'm really liking Dawn's family too, and it's nice to see more Wyglav. Yeah, Wyglav. Wyglav is one of those characters. He's relevant and obviously he's present in the first book. He's just not. He's not given like enough screen time, I guess, even though it's a book. You know what I mean? So it was fun to play with that character, and Gerard too. Like Gerard gets his moments, but I feel like Wyglav doesn't get as many as he could have had in that book. So it was fun to visit the characters that don't get as much page time, I guess is the word, in the first book, which is most of the other Dragon Knights except Valak for the most part. And Dawn. Dawn is pretty heavily in the first book as well. Skyrim feels like it's connected to your stories. I'm pretty sure I was writing it. I might have been writing the original. I have an original that we've read a little bit on that we've read a little bit on stream that is very anime inspired. I'm pretty sure when I was writing that one, I had played Skyrim while I was writing it. So the Skyrim influence is definitely there. For sure. Thank you. This journey called life for that comment. I appreciate it. Also, how were you already subscribed to the Fantasy Distractions channel? How did you find my channel? Because I know the advertising or like how they push streams on YouTube is horrendous. So I'm curious how you found my stream. If I should know who you are, then I feel really bad, and I'm sorry. Mistral also said, "What I like about your stories is how the characters encounter each other, and you see how they end up connected to each other." Yeah, I didn't realize I was even good at this. Like that, not to like humble brag a little bit, but the characters do feel very different, right? Like when Rapez interacts with Wyglass, they're two completely different characters, and you could tell. You know, they're two extremes though. Like when you have Gerard interacting with Wyglass, they're a little more similar. I'm sorry if you can hear the clicking of the cough drop, but um they're a little more similar, but you could still like differentiate them pretty thoroughly when they're speaking to each other. I'm happy with that. Reading it back now. I also like seeing more of Gerard's family too. It was an intense scene, good drama, and adds more to his character. Yeah, we have a Gerard fantasy distraction coming out. I didn't put that one together yet though, so it's not anytime soon. But there's a Gerard one too. They feel like they're their own people in the same world, so it's interesting when they cross. Yeah, and there's a lot of crossing over and cross interaction, especially in the first book, because we kind of travel around to all the different kingdoms, so you get to like meet these other characters, and they all interact at different points in the story, which is interesting. So you'll see if we ever read the first book on stream, which I wouldn't mind doing. That's a big undertaking, but I wouldn't mind doing that. Um, Before I answer this other question from Dizzy, cough drop ASMR Craigasm. Before I answer this next comment from Dizzy, I was actually, because I've been enjoying these so much, because I was originally like, oh, when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, I might stop doing the writing streams. But now I feel like I can't stop doing them, and I don't want to stop doing them. I was actually thinking about adding another night that's just for this type of stuff. So if you, they can't be back to back because I already need a cough drop, and we're like 2 hours into this one. But um, give me another night that you guys want me to do more of these, and I'll try to do more. Um, and if I should do them earlier, because I feel bad for Mistral if I add another night, and I know a lot of you guys are already staying up late. So um, all right, Dizzy asked me, do you come up with general story concepts first about the story you want to write, or do you just write more generally and see where the story ends up taking you, or maybe a mix of both? I am a very bad outliner. I've gotten better recently because of fantasy distractions. I kind of need to outline what stories are coming out. I am just a horrendous outliner. So I always knew where the first Soldier's Crest book was going to go. And I've always thought about stories past the first book. So it was easy for me to write like the second book and start writing the third. I didn't finish the third, but and then the side stories just kind of come to me. But as far as the first book went, I knew what the end was going to be, and I knew how I wanted to start it. And then I kind of like freestyled everything in between and then made it work. So I don't really plan out the story concepts fully. It's more like I know where I'm starting and I know where I want to go. And then everything in between just kind of, you know, it writes itself, as people will say, but that's just kind of how it goes. Yes, I've been subscribed for a while. I was surprised but hyped to see you doing a live stream. Your stories are compelling. Thank you so much. That makes me feel amazing because I have been struggling with like promoting it and the lack of views and stuff, so that means the world to me. Thank you. Thank you for that comment. Um I'm trying to do more streams and stuff. I'm just trying to get it out there the best I can. And social media is okay, I guess, but it's clearly not working as well as I would like. But the fact that you were able to find us makes me really, really happy. Glad you're motivated to keep them going. Oh wait, I missed one. That's what I like about Mira, like how she rolls her R's is a unique character trait. Yeah, she rolls her R's because she's a cat, but she wants to be a pirate. So then she just rolls her R's because she's a pirate. and it's actually still part of her just being a cat, and it's like, to me, that's like, when I bought that up like many years ago, I thought it was like genius. It's okay. I do my best to be here. If I miss it, I'll just watch it on YouTube. I appreciate you still checking it out. Oh, that's an awesome compliment, C-Val. There's your motivation to keep going. I'm trying. I'm trying my hardest. This is like my little like support group because I beat myself up mentally every other minute of every other day. So I appreciate the kind words. All right, I think I'm caught up. Chapter 3. I think I'm only gonna go to like page wherever like page whatever chapter is around page 50. I think we'll do tonight, and we'll finish the rest next week, or if we add another stream day, maybe. Would you guys be game for another night of this instead of gaming, or once a week is good for now? All right. The barren red landscape just before Rubrum became known as the Mundus Draconum after the Stragus, the most brutal slaughter of humankind known to man. The Mundus Draconum became home to the lizard-like monsters known as the Dragonkin. Their creation was also part of the aftermath of the Stragus. Led by the Highborn family for the last 100 years, these fierce beasts have tripled in numbers since their evolution. Among the Dragonkin was one by the name of Arok Doomcaller, a young aspiring warrior belonging to the clan of Brachus Thunderbone. Still the greatest name I've ever made up, by the way. I'm down for another stream day, maybe Thursday night. I'd be down to do Thursdays. That's the only night I like never really stream because of Critical Role, but not because I watch Critical Role, just because I figure everybody's watching Critical Role. That's the only reason why I don't stream on Thursdays, because my stream time overlaps with Critical Role. But if you guys are down for Thursday, I'm down. I don't watch Critical Role live, so like I'm not one of those people, but I know a lot of people watch it. And since my streaming career is mostly on Twitch, I just figured like they're on Twitch. I mean, they're on YouTube too, I guess. But I'd be down if you guys are down. Okay, Arok. Arok was the second strongest physical specimen among the dragons. Only Brachus himself could best him in one-on-one combat. His large frame made him stand out among the other dragonkin, and the green skin of the upper half of his body was a trademark of his family bloodline. The dragonkin in my book are basically the dragonkin from World of Warcraft. If you've seen what they look like, they have 4 legs. They're big. But then like the ascended dragons, or like I call them ascended now. I used to call them high dragons. They might be high dragons in the official self-published. They're definitely high dragons in the self-published version, but I've changed it to ascended dragons. Ascended dragons are like your typical fantasy dragons, like, you know, huge bodies with the wings and everything. Dragonkin are just like the dragonkin from WoW, essentially. The ambitious dragonkin often led their hunts and contributed the most to Mundus Draconum's expansion in recent months. In order to avoid overstepping their boundaries and ruining their relationship with the humans, the dragonkin had stopped expanding. This particular day saw Arok storming through the Draconum, demanding an audience with Sky Highborn, their leader. The dragonkin walked on 4 legs, and the bigger ones shook the ground when in a hurry. Sky knew he was coming before he even entered his tent. The tent was located in the middle of Mundus Draconum. It was much larger than an average human tent, to fit the large frames of the dragonkin. Sky often spent his days in this specific tent planning and organizing the next steps of the dragonkin. A large red stone table was in the middle of the room with small figures. Though it looked like a war table, it was simply their means of planning out expansion. Without taking his eyes off the figure he was holding, Sky addressed Arok's sudden presence. Young Doomcaller. him having Sky in his name and him saying that. Young Doomcaller. Sky put the figure down on his side of the table. He spoke in the tongue of the dragonkin. What do I owe the pleasure? Do not waste your time with formalities, my lord. Arok's attention didn't go to Sky, but instead to the massive, physical specimen that stood to the left of the table. Brachus, his clan leader, barely fit inside the large tent. His tail was touching the wall of it, and his head barely missed the top. I came to you with news of a fallen friend. Avernax, Brachus answered, obviously aware of what happened. Brachus also didn't turn his head to look at Arok. You knew? Arok placed his hands on the table. If you knew, why didn't you say anything? I just received the report from Cole. He too just found out. It's of little importance, really. Sky's nonchalant approach to the situation was infuriating to Arok. I told Avernox not to leave the Draconum. He refused. Took a location among the humans, killed some of them, and now everyone is surprised that the humans murdered him. With all due respect, murder is still murder. Arok clenched his fists. They still murdered one of our brothers. A brother who disobeyed orders. Sky slapped one of the figures off the table as he yelled. Everything I do is to protect our people, ensure our future. By going against my orders, Avernax knew what the consequences could be. Why are you so afraid of them? Arok was practically growling when he spoke. That's enough, Brachus intervened. You will speak to Lord Highborn with respect. I have the utmost respect for Sky and his lineage. What I don't understand is why all of the Highborns want to coexist with the humans. Arok banged his fist on his own chest. We are the superior race. This world is ours for the taking. They can't stop us if we so desired it. The humans have been here for thousands of years. They have survived meteors, demon invasions, cataclysmic events such as the Stragus, the evolution of their own kind, and the existence of magic and monsters. Do you think they can't survive our wrath? I do. We fly the skies and breathe fire. They have no answers for what we can do to them. Arok shook his head. If we attack them, especially now that they think we're not a threat, we can wipe them out in a single day. Our ascended dragons have grown in number, size, and strength. The most recently born are some of the most advanced we have ever seen. The humans would not know what hit them. The Council and I have discussed this for years. Sky's tail slithered over the piece he knocked off the table and picked it up, placing it back in his hand. We have discussed all of the arguments you have right now. War with the humans is not the answer. While you'd think we would have the upper hand and the unpredictability of it all would be to our advantage, you fail to realize that it goes both ways. Our knowledge of the humans is few and far between. We know their habits, we know where they stay, we know what they eat and drink. Arts and magic are the unpredictability. Super speed, super strength, they can read minds, phase through walls. Some of them can even match our abilities of flight without wings. They know what we are. Savage beasts who fly and breathe fire. But the truth is, our large frames make it hard for us to fly for extended periods of time. Our ascended dragons, those stronger and smarter, are still too few for an all-out war. Then we wait, Arok said. We wait until we're more knowledgeable. We wait until we have more high dragons. There were still high dragons here. Should be ascended. We wait until we have more ascended dragons, more numbers, and then we get revenge for Avernax. Arok, Sky let out a sigh. War with the humans is out of the question. They think us savage beasts, but a peaceful approach is the solution. The Council truly believes that. If we want to expand and evolve further, we need to live alongside the humans. Dang, those sound like cool abilities. Yeah, we didn't even get to the arts really in this, but yeah, some of them have some crazy abilities. Iria actually has some of the coolest ones. You'll see some of hers. You get a taste of them in this, I think, but we have a fantasy distraction coming out that shows her off a little bit more too. I can't accept that. Arok slammed his hands onto the table. There's no reason for it. Arok turned violently, his tail hitting the redstone table as he stormed out of the room. Keep an eye on him, Sky said without taking his eyes off the tent entrance. He's too valuable to lose, and we can't have him starting a war with the humans. Understood. Brachus walked out after Arok. It's getting really interesting, yeah. I totally forgot about that chapter. We do bounce to the Dragonkin side, I think, one other time in this one. I know she sounds so interesting. I want to see more of her. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot more of Uriel, especially if we do book one. She's pretty important to the book too. She gets a decent amount of airtime compared to the others. All right, chapter 4. Where are we at? Page was 41. Okay, could probably do like 2 more chapters. All right. Chapter 4. The Mage School, Cressrine, located on Azuldra's main island, just before the castle, was the best-known mage school on Chroma. Azuldra was home to Palin Sidon. Shout out to my buddy Palin. If you ever see Palin in chat, this is literally based off his character from when we played Final Fantasy XI together for like 100 years. So shout out to Palin. Azuldra was home to Palin Sidon, one of the most powerful and well-versed mages ever born. He was the one who asked King Arakai if he could set up the school, and many strong mages soon filled the Azuldra army ranks. When Griffin and Gerard arrived, there were numerous kids, teenagers, and some young adults outside training in magic. Yeah, there's a few of my Final Fantasy XI buddies, and their characters are in the main book too. When Griffin and Gerard arrived, there were numerous kids, teenagers, and some young adults outside training in magic. A group of people in red robes were closest to the entrance, shooting fireballs at flame-resistant dummies. Griffin walked ahead of Gerard and approached the counter. A young blue-haired woman stood behind it. She had glasses and a yellow robe on, similar to the red robes outside. On the right side of her chest was a blue medal. Griffin assumed it meant her rank, but without knowing of those ranks, he wasn't sure if she was skilled, new, or somewhere in between. Hello, she greeted them. Are you here to sign up for the next semester? Actually, Griffin turned to Gerard. I believe we're looking for one of your students. Grimoire Tide, Gerard added, assisting Griffin since he hadn't told him the person's name yet. Oh, Grimoire. The woman looked through some papers in front of her. Her sudden frantic scrambling concerned both of the knights. We don't have any recent records of Grimoire, you see. He left this school a few months ago and never returned. Are you sure? I can't imagine Grimoire leaving. I thought he loved it here. Gerard rubbed his face, wondering what happened that would drive Grimoire away. In middle school, I made a comic about all my friends at the time. It's a nice memory. Yeah, that's awesome. Like, I wish I could fit as many people as I can into these stories. I'm, like, totally down for that. I love that stuff. A falling out. The voice came from behind them. A tall man in a blue robe with short blonde hair and bright blue eyes approached them. Grimoire left a few months ago because he and I had a falling out. You must be Palin, Gerard said. Grimoire told me a lot about you and what you're capable of. Grimoire was one of my most talented students. The problem was that he refused to learn at the pace that I set for him, which was the safest and most advanced guidelines I could provide. Yet he wanted to learn more and wanted me to teach him some of the most advanced magic I had. By school regulations, these were spells I could not teach any student. Therefore, he left to find his answers somewhere else. Do you know where he went or where he would go? Asked Griffin. Unfortunately, I do not. This was quite a while ago, so he could really be anywhere on Chroma by now. I did hear he was last sighted near Davish, though, and that he supposedly frequents the Drunken Way, a pub there. Palin folded his arms. Mind if I ask what you need him for? I'm recruiting some knights and warriors for a special mission, explained Griffin. I've known Grimoire for quite some time, added Gerard. I felt that he would be a fine addition for this squad. He would definitely help strengthen any team, Palin said of the mage. However, his conquest for new magic might lead to a no from him. Might I suggest another mage who trained alongside Grimoire and showed just as much promise? It can't hurt to meet the man, said it can't hurt to meet the man, Griffin said directly to Gerard. I suppose, though I would still like to try to find Grimoire before we make any decisions. Gerard nodded to Palin, who guided them just outside where the people in red robes were practicing. Rex! Palin waved down one of the mages. I really appreciate you reading everything, Val. The more I hear about the world, the more I can visualize it, and it feels more real. Oh, thank you so much, Mistral. That means a lot to me. Thank you. I'm trying. I'm not very good at I never feel like I'm very good at like descriptive writing, which is probably bad as a writer, but I'm happy that you feel that way because that means I'm doing a half decent job at least. Rex. Palin waved down one of the mages. A tall man with red hair and red eyes walked over. This is Rex Amador. A pleasure. Rex put out his hand and shook both Griffin's and Gerard's. They are friends of Grimoire. The mention of Grimoire's name by Palin made Rex's face grow serious. Did something happen to him? Rex asked. Not that we know of. They were looking for him, Palin said. Have you heard anything? Added Gerard. I haven't seen Grimoire in a few months. Rex had more to say, but Palin cut him off. Griffin took that as a sign that it was a touchy subject. Why don't you show them what you could do, Rex? Everyone, please make room for Rex. The rest of the mages did as their instructor commanded. They cleared the training ground, and Rex set up in front of one of the dummies. Grimoire is somewhat of a rival to Rex. I gathered that, Griffin said. Why so much bad blood among mages? They trained together since they were boys, but Grimoire always seemed to get the upper hand. Grimoire's sudden departure with no warning or goodbyes left a sore spot with a lot of the mages who train here, especially because he was so good, Palin explained. He taught them a lot and helped them improve. Rex set his feet and spread out his arms. From his fingertips down began to ignite with fire. He threw 2 fireballs at the dummy, then slammed his hands together, causing the fire to explode a second time. He then clenched his fists and brought his arms back as fire swirled around him. Stand back a bit. Palin put his arm out to force Griffin and Gerard back and out of harm's way. When Rex's arm shot forward, a large blast of fire surrounded him and filled the training area, then dissipated before it hit anyone standing around. The other students cheered and clapped at Rex's demonstration. He walked over, slightly out of breath, and sweating a bit from the heat. What do you think? Rex said with a smile. Impressive, Gerard said. No doubt you are skilled, said Griffin. What other types of magic do you know? Rex is a specialist in fire magic. We've created a goal plan for him that will have him completely master the element before branching out into others. Too many students waste their unique gifts pursuing a little bit of everything. I wanted to make sure we didn't make that mistake with Rex. Palin nodded and placed his hand on Rex's shoulder. You just witnessed the results of that training. Seems to have paid off, said Gerard. If I'm not mistaken, Grimoire was mastering water magic last time I spoke with him. That settles it then, Griffin said of this newfound knowledge. I cannot take Rex. Are you serious? Rex's voice went louder than he intended and drew the attention of the other students. May I inquire as to why? Asked Palin, his grip on Rex's shoulder tightening to calm him down. What we plan to do requires more water than fire, and a wider knowledge of spells and magic, Griffin explained. It has nothing to do with Rex's talent. It's just fire won't aid us in this journey, unfortunately. Thank you for all your help and insight. We will go to Davish and try to find Grimoire. Ooh, water magic. Yeah, Grimoire tied, and he masters water magic. I see. Very well then. Good luck in your search. Palin nodded to them once more, then turned away from them with Rex, who was still visibly upset. Fire would do nothing to the dragons, added Griffin, as he and Gerard made their way out of the school. Yeah, it would be pointless to bring a fire mage. Besides, if we can find Grimoire, I know that I can talk him into joining us. Sorry, I gotta chew this cough drop real quick. Chewing. I should have left the sound on so you guys could get the ASMR. But sorry. Okay, anyway. It is helping, though. It's definitely helping. Okay. Gerard stopped short just a few feet from the school. Looks like Wygolef and Rapez finished their part. No new people with them, though. No luck? Griffin asked as they approached. We found out about the Windar family. Apparently the dad wants his daughter to be a fighter, Rapez said. Did you check them out? Asked Gerard. Dawn, the daughter, shows a lot of promise. Rapez picked up on it right away, but after my evaluation, I'm not sure she's ready to be fighting dragons yet. Wygolef sighed. He wasn't used to traveling this much outside of Bawal. It sounded more tired than anything. because he's old. The Windar family lives in the mansion in the Davish Fields, correct? Griffin asked the question in a way that implied he already knew the answer. Yeah, said Rapez. They must be loaded. And we will return there after we check Davish for Grimoire. Griffin said as he walked past them. They all matched his pace and walked beside him. Return there? Are we already that desperate for warriors? Wygolef asked, slightly insulted. We will take Dawn if we must. I'm more interested in his money, Griffin said with a smile. I like this plan, Rapez added with a laugh. He's a cool old guy, though, for sure. We take Dawn and have her father pay for supplies. Gerard rubbed his chin as they walked. It is pretty brilliant. It will be a win-win, added Griffin. You said she shows promise. She does, Wygolef answered. You're the best trainer on Chroma, according to Gerard. I'm going to put you in charge of not making her a liability, and instead making her one of our strongest assets. I think I can handle that, Wygolef said with a smile of his own. She had another young man training with her. Depending on his art, I believe I can work with him as well. Turn him into another strong addition to our team. Sounds like a solid plan, Griffin said. First, let's find the mage. Or something to eat, Rapez said with a grin. Yeah, Griffin he's a jerk. We are in Azuldra. I heard the food here is amazing, Wygolef said. A rest would be beneficial to an old man like me. Can't hurt to refuel first, I suppose, Griffin said. Let's eat, then head to Davish. After eating, the knights spent some time traveling in a carriage from Azuldra to Davish. They had the driver let them out just before the large city. Davish was built on neutral ground. Sorry. I had an itch, and I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a spider cricket. Yeah, Rapez got his priorities, right? See, he's just making sure everybody eats. They had the driver let them out just before the large city. Davish was built on neutral ground by the Hallstar family, who were famous builders on Chroma. It acted as the meeting point for all of the kingdoms. Before reaching Davish, the group of aspiring dragon hunters ran into a group of bandits stationed outside. They were surrounding something or someone. It was hard to tell from where they were standing. Quite a large crowd. Wonder what they're looking at. Gerard looked up to Rapez, the tallest among them, wondering if he could see what was happening. They're surrounding a girl, Rapez said, just barely able to see the top of the girl's head. We should help, added Wygolef. It's in our path anyway, Gerard deducted. Hey, Rapez called as he walked on ahead. Why don't you leave the girl alone? Girl? One of the bandits whipped around. You don't see this monster? Monster? Rapez got closer and the bandits spread apart, revealing the girl to him. She was short with long black hair. In the middle of her chest was a teddy bear that seemed to have been through a lot. One eye was hanging off, some stuffing was hanging out, and the rest of the bear looked ragged. Clenching it to her chest were 6 arms in total. Shocked, Rapez took a step back. She's still just a girl. You don't see it? You really don't see it? Answered another bandit. He looked at Rapez for a moment, but was constantly looking all around himself. That's about enough of this. By now, Wygolef and Gerard were by Rapez's side. All 3 of them had their weapons drawn. As the 3 reached the bandits, the girl and the bandits all transformed into monsters before their eyes. An illusion? Gerard turned his head to Wygolef, but saw him as a monster as well. He shook his head and rubbed his eyes. Hallucination? He took a step back and they returned to normal. Back up, he yelled. A black darkness began to surround Rapez before he heard Gerard, and he backed away just in time. Wygolef did the same. Something is forcing them to change, Rapez said. It's the girl. Griffin finally joined them. If we don't do something about the bandits, they will kill her. We have no range, said Wygolef. There's some very, gaming terms in this one. We have no range, said Wygolef. We'll need to go in one at a time to not mistakenly kill each other. I'll go first, said Gerard as he swung his mace around in his hand. Just call out so I don't accidentally hurt the girl myself. Gerard moved forward quickly, hoping that the effects of the girl wouldn't hinder him before he could line up a target. He was wrong. The moment his foot stepped on the ground within her aura, the world changed around him. He looked back. His comrades had become 3 large demons with fangs, and blood splattered all over their bodies. The closest bandit became a giant worm with yellow eyes and fangs of his own. He knew the bandit wouldn't be that big, so he smashed the base of the worm, hoping it would be the chest of a bandit. You got one, he heard, but it was hard to make out whose voice it was. Gerard shrugged it off and turned to face the next monster. This one was the shape of a human, but much larger in size, near 10 feet tall. His first attack was aimed at the monster's face out of reflex, but he knew it didn't make contact with anything on his follow-through. What he felt was a sudden pain in his stomach, and he was forced to drop down to his knees. He closed his eyes, hoping that would help him gain his senses, but it also seemed to have no effect. He looked up at the giant-sized demon and readied his mace to defend himself, but another monster intervened. Get out, the monster yelled, and Gerard turned away from the battle and ran. When the grass fields outside Davish returned to his sights, he turned around to see Rapez fighting off the bandit that landed a hit on him. That is like nothing I have ever experienced before, Gerard said, sweat forming on his face. What did you see? Asked Griffin, his interest piqued. Rapez rushing in to save the day. He likes fighting bandits, that much we know. Everything was terrifying, demonic in nature, like all of my fears were revealing themselves to me at once. Gerard took another step back just in case. Wyglaff ran in next to swap with Rapez and put down the final bandit. Only the girl is left, Rapez yelled to cause Wyglaff to fall back. My turn, Griffin said. If she attacks me or does anything to me, get me out of there. Are you sure it's okay to approach her? Maybe we could communicate from here, Wyglaff suggested. She's just as afraid, Griffin said. Plus, it's hard to hear from back here. I could barely make out what you guys were saying, added Gerard. I'm going in. Griffin walked towards the girl before the aura took effect. He noticed that her eyes were tightly closed, and she was gripping the bear with all of her might. It's okay to let go. We won't hurt you. Stay away from me. I'm dangerous, said the girl. We've gathered that, and we've also accepted that. Griffin's words got through easily. The girl had never been spoken to so calmly before. The girl didn't change form for him, but everything around her did. The ground became black and demon hands began to sprout out from beneath. The trees all died in unison, withering and becoming disfigured. More monsters and demons began to emerge from behind the girl. Can you turn your art off? I can't. I don't know how, the girl said. We're going to help you. We're going to find a way, but you need to trust me. We will protect you, but you need to protect us too. Griffin put out his hand to help her up. Can you do that? If I'm going to protect you, I can't touch your hand. It amplifies the effects of my art. The girl stood up slowly, and Griffin immediately realized she wasn't as young as he thought. She was actually quite tall, almost as tall as he was, and her arms were all long and fully formed. The black hair hung down just past her shoulders, and under her appendage-packed torso were two very long legs. What was I seeing? The girl? Were you choosing to show me that? Griffin asked, taking a few steps back. The demons were still around them, but not pushing forward. I don't know how to control that either. I think that is what I feel, or that is what I think of myself. The woman before him seemed different, yet still carrying the same qualities and burdens. What is your name? Do you have one? Griffin took more steps backwards as the woman walked forward. Iria Rain, she said. I'm Griffin. They approached the others, but Iria came to a stop just before her aura would affect them. Griffin walked out of it. This is Gerard, Wyglaff, and Rapez. You all saved me? Iria asked. Why? Didn't seem like a fair fight, said Gerard. Looked like you needed help, added Wyglaff. Rapez, take Iria to the carriage. Griffin handed Rapez a small sack of gold. You're going to need to rent the carriage. I don't think the driver will escort you with the aura that Iria gives off. You want me to drive her back to Bawal? Rapez was annoyed by the thought and a bit afraid of Iria. So cool. She's so cool. I love this chapter. Yeah, you're going to like Iria. Iria is pretty great. She's a little weird at the beginning of the first book. I can feel my voice is going, as you could tell. Spiders, manga S. Okay, alright, I have a story related to spiders. Actually, that ties into Iria. Okay, so one of my favorite Marvel characters is a very lesser known Marvel character named Spiral. And Spiral has 6 arms. So I knew I wanted her to have 6 arms. The aura that she gives off reveals everybody's deepest fears. Oh my god, I'm like really losing my voice. I'm afraid of spiders, and I told myself I would never have giant spiders in my fantasy book because every game and fantasy story seems to have giant spiders. So Iria is like my indirect way of having a reference to spiders with no spiders, because she has 6 arms and 2 legs, so she has the same arms as a spider. The multi-arms makes me think of Kali. Kali from Smite? That Kali? I know the Kali in Smite has multiple arms. Or is that just a general Kali thing because she's based off of a god, right? But yeah, I know Dizzy put it in the YouTube chat because I mentioned spider crickets. But it actually indirectly connects to Iria's inspiration. Spiders can be cool, it's just when there's too much it creeps me out. Yeah, I don't like when they always put a giant spider and it has me looking around the room for spiders. But I don't like when they put giant spiders in fantasy stuff. I feel like it's so like overdone. The mythical goddess Kali. Yeah, I gotta look up stuff on the actual goddess. I know the one in Smite, but all the characters in Smite are based off of actual gods and goddesses. So I figured she was a real, well, like, connected to somebody's religion. But yeah, I gotta look up more on that. But yeah, I always liked Spiral, and then they actually put after a while they put Spiral in one of the X-Force comics, I think, and that comic was amazing because it was like her, Wolverine, Deadpool, Psylocke, this guy Phantom X. That run was amazing. She's badass, one to be feared. Very interesting. Yeah, so that's kind of like a mix of the inspirations that made her, and then she like gradually turned into her own thing in this. But that's where she originally came from. So since I wrote this after the first book, I had a better grip on her character when writing this, because I had already finished the first book. So I was able to like deep dive a little bit into her backstory and stuff. You like Psylocke? Yeah, Psylocke's cool. Those are all characters that I like. Psylocke, Spiral, Deadpool, and Wolverine. So the Phantom X guy was new. He was pretty cool. But that X Force run with them was awesome. You want me to drive her back to Bawal? Rapez was annoyed by the thought and a bit afraid of Iria. Yes, return her to Bawal and ask Shadow if there's a way to suppress her aura. If we're not back by the time you complete that task, meet us at the Windar Mansion. We should be done in Davish by then, and that'll be the rendezvous point. Griffin made it, gave him the rest of the gold he had on him. Use the rest to get a ride back. You got it. I hope I can ride this carriage without losing my damn mind. Rapez walked over. Iria didn't move. You coming? Iria, it's okay. Rapez will take you somewhere where you could get help. Try to suppress your aura to make the ride a little less frightening for him. Griffin nodded to her, then put out his hand to lead her in the right direction. Iria nodded to them all, then walked by them toward Rapez. Our brief passing made everything a horror show again for a moment, but then subsided. Do you think that's a good idea? Wyglaff asked. Out of the 4 of us, Rapez can probably handle whatever it is that she's dishing out, Griffin assured them. If we could help this Iria woman and her aura can be used against the Dragonkin, she could potentially be our most deadly weapon. Agreed, Gerard said with a bit of concern in his voice. I'm just trying to figure out where she came from. 6 arms, demon-like aura, and a very cold tone to her voice. Either someone is brewing monsters nearby, or she's a demon herself. Like Rapez is just like, I gotta do this. If anyone could figure out the answer to those questions, it's Shadow, Wyglav said. Hopefully by the time we return to Bawal, he'll have some answers. In the meantime, we need to find Grimoire. Yeah, hopefully he can find a way to suppress that aura, too, Gerard said as they all started walking toward the entrance of Davish. My voice is literally giving out, but I kind of want to do one more, because I remember this chapter and I know it's a good one. Rapez is the best. All of the characters you seem to like, Mistral, are interacting with each other more than others. Like Rapez has to drive Iria back. Rapez hits on Dawn's mom. Like any characters you like seem to interact more than the others. All right. That all right was not very confident inducing for me, but I think I could do one more. Let's do one more. How many pages is this one? No spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers. Jeez, this is a long chapter. Okay, it's like eight pages. I think I could do it. That's why I'm liking it so much. It's getting me more invested because they interacted. Yeah, I wish I could say Rapez was in the first book a lot, but he's really not. You don't have to push yourself. I want to try to do at least one more because I know this chapter is pretty good, I think. If it's the chapter I'm thinking of. Last one, no matter what, though. Last one. Unless my voice gives out midway, then we're just calling it. But last one, no matter what. It's okay. I'm glad I got to know him through your readings. Yeah, the story. There's a lot more stories I need to write with that he's in more. So he's definitely going to be involved. The more I work on it. Save your voice. We got this. One more. Never give up. Never surrender. Unless you can't talk anymore. All right, chapter 5. Davish had the largest buildings on Chroma. When the Hallstar family built this town many years ago, they always intended it for it to be the hub of the new civilization on Earth. A meeting place for people, Dragonkin, and all the other inhabitants of Earth. In due time, however, it was mainly controlled by humans. The pubs and shops were more welcoming of the other races, but the ones in charge of those pubs and shops were all humans. When the knights entered the town, they immediately began asking the townspeople where they could find the Drunken Way, the pub that Grimoire supposedly frequented quite often. They got their answer and made their way to the middle of the town. Despite how populated the town was, and how busy the shops seemed to be, the Drunken Way was double that. There were people enjoying drinks outside the pub on a porch where numerous tables were set up. Each side of the porch had numerous waiters attending to guests, and some were even stationed just outside the pub, in front of the porch, inviting guests inside. The three knights stood out as they made their way over to the bar. Wyglaff's large frame in the middle of Gerard and Griffin caught the attention of one of the barmaids. "Can't say I've ever seen you boys around here before, passing through," she said with a grin. "We're actually looking for someone," said Gerard. "A man named Grimoire. Have you heard of him?" "Oh, you're all friends of Grimmy? Why didn't you say so?" She practically pushed the other guests out of the way to welcome them inside. "Grimmy?" asked Griffin. "Never heard him called that before," said Gerard. "He must be inside." "Stefan!" the barmaid yelled. "Stefan, these boys know Grimmy." A tall man with long black hair emerged from behind the bar. He had a cup in either hand that he passed together to mix a drink. He shook it for a moment, then poured it in a glass before handing it to one of the men at the bar. "Send them over," Stefan yelled back. He placed the 2 cups he was using back behind the bar, then grabbed a towel to wipe off his own hands. "You boys want anything to drink?" You know a Stefan in real life? I don't think I've ever met a Stefan. Actually. Now that I think about it. The barmaid removed a man who was sitting at the bar. He appeared to have way too much to drink, considering it was the early afternoon. This made room for the 3 knights who took seats at the bar. "I'll pass," said Griffin. "A bit early for me," added Wyglaff. I'll just take some water if you have, Gerard answered last. He immediately began looking around the bar after placing his order. There seemed to be no one armed or of any threat. Despite the fact that the three knights looked the most threatening, none of the patrons seemed to pay them any mind. Gerard thought it best that they could fly under the radar. The one you know is from France. Interesting. Stefan placed the towel on the inside counter that only he could reach behind the bar. So how do you all know Grimoire? He's a friend of mine. I haven't seen him in quite some time. He wasn't where I normally meet him, and I was told he frequents this bar quite often. Gerard was still looking around the bar as he answered before focusing on Stefan. Have you seen him recently? I haven't seen Grimoire in a few weeks. Stefan's answer worried the knights. He's been spending a lot of time in the Rubrum territories. Stefan readied a glass of water and slid it in front of Gerard. May I ask why you're looking for him? 3 Knights of Bawal is a bit excessive for looking for a lost friend, no? We're all friends, Wyglaff went to answer, but the response came from Griffin. Gerard is just a bit closer to him than we are. It's important that we get reunited soon. We have a big celebration coming up, and we wouldn't want him to miss the festivities. Indeed, a joyous occasion that which should be shared by friends, Wyglaff added, playing along, though doing a poor job of it. Good to know. May I ask something of the 3 of you? Stefan asked. He took the towel he had earlier and began cleaning one of the glasses with it. What is troubling you? Asked Gerard. When you do find Grimoire, tell that bastard he's no longer welcome here unless he's returning my medallion. Stefan's tone changed completely. If I found out he sold it off and he steps foot in Davish again, I'll kill him myself. He stole from you? asked Wyglaff, shocked by the sudden outburst. Gerard was taking a drink of his water, but Stefan yanked the glass away from him. Get out. Deliver my message to your friend when you find him. Good day. Good day. 3 large men dressed in black stepped out from one of the back rooms and escorted the 3 knights out. Each one of them held up their hands in surrender as they were pushed out just past the porch. Didn't go well, huh, boys? The barmaid asked. Definitely not the way we expected it to go, replied Gerard. You seem like a legitimate friend of Grimoire as well. Do you have any idea where he might be? We really need to find him. If he's not here, he's in one of 2 places. Arosa, the town just outside the Mundus Draconum, or at the arenas in Tark, gambling or stealing, the barmaid sighed. Grimmy and I go back. The sudden thievery is not like him. I think he's in a bad way, and I think he could really use a visit and a stern talking to from a friend. I'll try my best. Thanks for the information. Gerard gave her a nod, and the 3 knights began walking toward the exit of the town. We should go to the Windar mansion before we go to Tark, said Griffin. I know of a man who fights in the arena, and that would help us a lot in our mission to stop the Dragonkin. But we need the Windar's money to free him, I suppose? Wyglaff asked. He turned to Gerard when he asked the question to Griffin. Why do you keep looking around? I feel like someone is following us. Gerard continued to look behind him. Maybe it's just my imagination or a side effect from that Iria woman. I think you're just a bit worried about Grimoire. Let's go find him. Griffin led the way. A large, purple-cloaked figure materialized behind them once they were out of view. Its large dragonkin body did a poor job of hiding down one of the alleyways in Davish. Though dragonkin were welcomed here, the beast still felt it necessary to hide after the recent events with Avernax. In the alleyway was another dragonkin with a purple robe draped over its body like the invisible one. Lord Cole, they were quiet about their intentions for a while, the newly visible dragonkin said in their tongue. But then it was very clear that they were making moves against us. Good job, Hate Stitch. I will inform Arok at once. His last name is Hate Stitch. Proud of that one, too, for some reason. When the knights arrived at the Windar mansion, Aurora Windar was standing outside watering some of their plants. She recognized Wyglaff immediately. Back again, she greeted them with a smile, even though she knew one day Wyglaff would return for her daughter. Had a change of heart? More like a change of strategy, Wyglaff said. He wasn't fully behind Griffin's idea. He didn't like using the Windar family for their money, but he was excited to see what Dawn could do and what she could add to the team. The children are inside for once. You actually came at the one time they aren't training. She stopped watering the plants and opened the door for them. It's important to refuel and rest your muscles as well. I'm happy they're not overworking themselves. Wyglass stopped at the door and let Aurora go in first before he led the knights inside. I think the same should be said about you. Don't you have people to do this for you? It's important that I stay active as well, Wyglass, though your concern is much appreciated. She pushed her hair behind her ear before turning slightly towards them. You didn't introduce me to your friends. This is Griffin and Gerard, Knights of Bawal, replied Wyglass. Oh, you brought the general with you. This must be important, she said, with another smile. You actually know I'm the general? Gerard asked. Apparently more people knew than he thought. I try to stay well versed in all the happenings on Chroma. It's good for business to know everything that could help you sway a deal. Aurora stopped in front of the doorway to the kitchen. There's plenty of food if you are all hungry, she said. When the three knights walked into the kitchen, they felt awkward. The room itself was gigantic, but they felt like they were taking up too much space. There were two cooks preparing meals in the background of a large dinner table where Dawn, Faris, and Edgar sat. Dawn was covered in dirt. Faris had bruises on his shoulders, and Edgar looked exhausted as he pushed food into his own mouth. Upon looking up to see the knights, he seemed to be rejuvenated. He shot up out of his chair and offered his hand once more to Wyglass. You changed your mind, Edgar said. He gripped Wyglass's hand tight. I have decided to take Dawn along with us. Wyglass looked back at Griffin, who gave him a nod. Unfortunately, I must also ask a favor. Anything, Edgar said immediately. In order to fulfill our mission, we will need supplies, began Griffin, most of which will be very expensive. And since this is a special mission for the king, we must keep it a secret. This means we can't dip into Bawal's treasury. You need money? That's it? I give you money for this mission, you train and take my daughter to become a knight? Edgar's smile was larger than the last time Wyglass was at their house. That's the gist of it, Griffin replied. Though I don't want you to think that this is the only reason we're taking Dawn. That man with me last time, Rapez, he and I discussed in length the potential that your daughter holds, added Wyglass. And Faris? Asked Aurora. Despite the children being within hearing distance, Faris had remained quiet in his chair as the praise for Dawn continued. He was proud of his friend, but feared being separated from her. Wyglass started to speak, but Griffin cut him off. We will take Faris as well, Griffin said, his response a shock to both Wyglass and Gerard, and even more of a shock to Edgar. Wyglass is the greatest fighting instructor on Chroma. He will make the boy a fine warrior. I don't know how else to express my thanks, Edgar said, practically in tears. This means so much to us. Besides money, we also have some old family heirlooms you might find useful. It's mainly weaponry and some armor that we will never use. If you all can benefit from some extra gear, you're free to take whatever you like. Aurora opened a door to the left of the dinner table that led outside. There is a shed behind where you saw the children training the last time you were here. You might as well go take a look while the children finish eating. Come back, have some food yourselves while we prepare the children for their journey. Thank you for your hospitality. Wyglass bowed to Aurora and once again shook Edgar's hand. When the three knights stepped outside, the world around them immediately changed. A darkness swept over the green fields surrounding the Windar mansion. Catch! A voice yelled as bracelets landed into the hands of the knights. Quickly putting them on, they turned to their left to see Rapez and Iria walking up to them. Both with surprisingly big smiles on their faces. Tell me how the hell Shadow already had something to negate Iria's art. It's not a strong version. He's still tweaking it, but it's enough to stand next to her. Rapez pointed to his own that barely fit on his wrist. It's probably still a bad idea to touch me, though, so please don't, Iria added. Dude, same. Same, Iria, same. Don't touch me. Though sounding much friendlier than earlier, her tone still came off cold. The bracelets need to be recharged by magical power every few days, so we'll need to make it back to Bawal before that happens. How'd it go with the kids? Rapez tried to look behind them. That food smells delicious. Aurora said we're welcome to have some after we check the shed. Dude, Rapez is just a foodie in this one. Aurora said we're welcome to have some after we check the shed. Supposedly they have some weapons and armor we could use since the Windars have no need for them. You made really good time getting back here, Wyglass said. Yeah, Shadow knows some shortcuts, plus I didn't want to miss anything, Rapez said. He gave me a few extra bracelets, so if we decide to eat or stay the night, we could keep the Windars safe from Iria's aura as well. Refueling does seem like a good idea, added Gerard, as he made his way toward the shed. It was larger than they anticipated, but everything on the Windar property seemed larger than what they were used to, including those who lived in the Balwal castle. There are a lot of weapons here. He was a hero earlier too, yep. Wycliffe walked in first and picked up a helmet, inspected it, then placed it back down. Not much in terms of armor, nothing we could use anyway. Let's grab what we can, ask if we could eat, and stay the night, then make our way to Tark as soon as the sun rises. We can't waste too much time here, said Griffin. Rapez's eye caught a shiny red object beneath a pair of gauntlets. Griffin is right. We shouldn't waste too much time here. Uh-oh, Rapez being shady. Caught the sight of a shiny red object. Uh-oh. Rapez, what are you up to? Alright, I guess we'll stop there. That wasn't the chapter I was thinking of, by the way. I was thinking of a chapter that's coming up. So we'll get to that next week. Yeah, we got a little cliffhanger. We're at chapter 6. I'm gonna write that down. Let me write that down real quick before I forget. We can probably finish this next week. Or maybe Thursday. Maybe, should we do a stream Thursday? I guess it depends on my voice. If my voice is up to it, maybe I'll stream Thursday. Keep an eye out for that, I guess. You gotta rest your throat. Yeah, I'm going to now. I'm so tempted to read more. I mean, I guess it's a good thing. Hopefully people who read my actual work someday will want to read more. Alright, I guess that'll be it for me. Oh, I didn't have the actual writing up on the screen for that whole reading. My bad. It was just me. I literally was looking at my phone to check YouTube chat and didn't realize that until just now. I mean, it doesn't really matter. So before, when I was like, no spoilers, while I was like scrolling there, you guys couldn't even see it. So it doesn't matter. We will, it'll happen. Your stories are awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I'm like so hard on myself, so like I appreciate that. And I was really like beating myself up over the weekend when as soon as I saw this book. Like it was fine until I saw this with the typos, and I was thinking about like what could have been, you know? It's alright. It is what it is. It's just delaying the inevitable. Maybe, hopefully. I'm like Thanos. Alright, things will pick up, you gotta believe. I kind of want to host somebody, but is anybody in the writers section right now? Map making, writing, world building, occasionally crafting. That sounds interesting. Let's rate this person. It's nice to refresh on everything too. Yeah, reading through everything, it's funny because like I'm so heavily into writing the fantasy distraction stuff right now that I don't even really like think about the Soldier's Crest stuff as much as I used to. So like when we read the Mira side story, I had no intention of going right into the prequel to read on stream. I thought we were just gonna go back to fantasy distraction stuff. I was thinking about doing Moa maybe again. And it just really put me in the mood to revisit the Soldier's Crest guys, so it was cool. Have a good night, Val. I always enjoy your readings. Have a good rest. You too, Mistral. Thank you so much for hanging out. You want to buy more books? I will try to make more. I'm going to do my best. But like I said, the second book is done. So if I can find a place that'll republish the first book, I already have the second book ready. Like ready to go. Will this work? No, it's not going to work in here. Hold on. I'm going to host this person. I haven't rated anybody in a while, I feel. She has a cool name too. Desdemona Rose. You want the other cover of a Soldier's Crest? I can send you one, Kitty. I can definitely send you one. What the heck happened? My hold on, let me before we read out, let me see if I can share this real quick. I want you guys to see what I'm seeing on Twitch. It like oh wait, it's not popping up. Do you guys see what I see? Yeah. How is this possible? How does he do it? How does he do it? Oh, if I could find the prequel, I was gonna send you the prequel, and I was gonna put I was still gonna sign it to just you and troll Akatsu, and then just add Akatsu like either on another page or in like parentheses somewhere, and just put my homie. Guys, I'm invisible on my end. I don't know about you guys, but it goes away when oh, okay, it's back. It's gonna send us on the raid, but yeah, I'm invisible and here at the same time. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll take care, Dizzy. If you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate the watch time and the comments and everything. Thank you for watching me, and I hope you guys have a great night.